all on Heavy. See if this C4 is going to change things.
C4 and a dream. 20 seconds left to go, but such proximity. Oh, the knife from Heavy. Guys denied outright the 1v2, but a plant on the bed is also denied by the C4. 10 seconds left. A 1 versus 1. Snake Nade on half HP. He will go for the plant. He is, however, exposed under the bed. The shots can land for Heavy, but he's missing. He's shooting into the bed instead of over the bed. Heavy can win this still. It's not all over. Heavy's position is called out, likely a drone. One of the post-mortem attackers will give information to Snake Nade and allow him to put his crosshair in the right spot. The vault from Heavy is successful. He's getting proximity and he will clutch it out. Heavy, the absolute madman.
No, hit it.
He still has time, I think. It's going to be close. It'll come down to the last couple seconds, but there should be enough for the Pulse to win this. And yes, he did it. Overtime for the defense.
No, he's out of him. He's out of him. Okay, he did it already. He was one to open the wall.
What a flick
there
from Benji. Crazy, going for the opportunity, and he just could not seize it. Hitting some of his shots onto that little wooden piece of art propelling in the middle of the room.
Yeah, it's gonna let Benji just sit back up there like a gargoyle again, somehow not being killed.
And he has dropped, and he will get the second kill, this time on Breezy. He's going for a third. That's the Echo inside a projector. Benji absolutely on fire. All the kills for his team in this round. Yeti will refrag onto Snake Nade, but Benji a 4K, leaving just Heavy, the final defender in the hallway.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our humble desk. Very humble, of course, indeed. I'm Automatic Finch. With me is Devin, Emzo, Becker. Welcome to the U.S. Nationals.
Definitely a good one here to have. This is only the second Playday, though, of at least the broadcasted matches going on. So it's definitely been very, very interesting so far. We had a really, really good one last Friday. I imagine a good one this Friday as well.
You saw from the highlights, Devin and Michael definitely could barely keep their pants on, so we'll see what happens in tonight's show, because it's really heating up here in the U.S. Nationals. Though, we'll have to recap everything for you, because it might be a bit complicated. Maybe you're new here, maybe you're not from the U.S. and don't understand the system. Well, worry not, my friends, because we have the tournament overview here. We'll explain things for you. So, of course, welcome to the Rainbow Six U.S. Nationals. This is Playday number 2. Though, for this tournament, it's important to know that it is divided into 2 sections. East Conference and West Conference. East Coast and West Coast, of course, with 3 stages plus a wild card stage. Now, each stage comprises of 3 playdays. Each playday has 1 game for East Coast and the second one for West Coast. At the end of every stage, we will have 2 teams. So 2 teams times the 3 stages, we get 6 in total. And then for the wild card, we'll have the last 2 teams that'll be selected, 1 from East and 1 from West. Though, we'll zoom right into stage 1, as this is the stage that we are in right now. Last week was week 1. For East Coast matchup, we have Noble versus Obey, and West Coast as well, we had matchup number 2. Now, today is Playday number 2, so we have 2 matchups as well. It's Renaissance versus Mouse, and then it's Deception versus Space Station Gaming. That is our schedule for today. And of course, the winner of these 2 matches goes on to face the winners of our first Playday.
Yeah, Noble and Disrupt. So they had very, very good performances. So it definitely, whoever wins this is definitely going to have to work very hard to make sure that they win the conference final for their side. Obviously, East faces East, West faces West. We don't have any cross-division play until the actual LAN finals themselves. So all the teams that you see, the 2 groups that you see each night, will not necessarily meet each other, except for on the third nights where you're seeing them kind of meet their previous opponents, but still not East meeting West, which is the important part.
Yeah, it still always is, you know, play day 1 for East, play day 2 for East as well, and then we transition to the final play day, which of the first stage, or the second one, or the third one, that puts one team ahead. And of course, we're very close now to crowning our first 2 teams off of stage number 1. We'll remind you, each stage has 2 teams, so 8 in total. Remind you that on social media, if you're on there, make sure that you tweet, share about your thoughts on Twitter with the hashtag, the official one, R6USN. So that is hashtag R6USN for US Nationals.
Makes sense.
Clear enough, right? And if you don't know the game, this is Rainbow Six. Hey, what's up? So, that aside, I think we've covered the introduction.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, make sure that you also tweet at us with the hashtag R6USN. We'll be, you know, answering all the questions. We'll have social media team as well helping you out if you have any problems. But we'll start off with our first matchup, and let's put Renaissance up US, or a US National, of course.
Yeah.
Then you can sign up and play with either the East or West Conference. You can just go on the US Nationals website and sign up from there. There's a pretty big button that says sign up.
Yeah, and to be clear, the East and West doesn't necessarily indicate where the team is from. It indicates the side that they signed up on. So it's a case where you may have one player that's actually from the East, but all the other players are from the West, but they're playing in the East Division, or vice versa. It could be a mixed thing. Obviously, it'd be kind of hard anyways to make sure all the teams are from one side.
It is right here.
But there you go.
Play.r6usnationals.com.
There's a lot of good info on there, so you can find the full big bracket graphic, all the information about it. Each week, you're going to see the actual online brackets. So if you want to get kind of a preview each week of who's going to be playing the matches before coming into the actual play day, you can find out there because you can see the links directly to the ESL Play brackets. So definitely do so to see not only that, but you can see which teams they beat, which teams they played against, how the scores went. If you really want to dive deep into it, you can do so on that website and figure out a bit more about these teams going in.
Yeah, I'll remind you that the matches are played on Saturdays, but the end teams that are in that single elimination bracket get to play on a Friday afterwards. So tomorrow you'll have another bit of matches that are played to prepare for next week, and so on and so forth, until we finish off with each one of our stages. And then finally we get to our wild card stage, and by then, it'll be fairly deep into the season. We'll only need 2 teams at the end of it. I'll remind you, only 8 teams will qualify, and all of them, all of the players, have to be from the USA. But our game is ready. Ladies and gentlemen, let's head in for Renaissance versus Mouse Sports on map 1, and it is Coastline.
This should be a good one. As I said, this is one that Mouse are fairly good at, but at the same time, we don't know how Renaissance are on it, so it could be a bit of a feel out, I would say, the first couple rounds where, you know, whatever team is trying to do their strat, the other team's going to have to figure that out, because chances are Mouse is going to be bringing a lot of strats just because, A, they're known for having a lot of strats, and B, they're starting on defense. That's the team that's going to be able to bring the strats first in terms of deciding things. Also, they are the team that gets to ban an operator first, so we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of operators that are pretty common to be banned on this map. There's a good chance we'll see Galaz banned, for example. Might even see Ying banned. It's pretty variable. Lion also could be a one, but apparently Blitz is something they don't want to deal with. And that could even be a target ban against Renaissance. It's hard to say.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, if there's a crutch operator that can be used against you, very much can be a Blitz. They'll just rush into you. That's something you want to remove your mind.
That's got to be one of the first times I've ever seen Buck banned anywhere. And that's an interesting choice. That, again, seems like a targeted ban, or just a weakness that they have to deal with in terms of vertical play. I
mean, Jackal is still very much a possibility, so
Absolutely.
It's Sledge as well. They are both operators that act in and around a similar way as a Buck.
Yeah, in this case, I'd say actually Sledge just about as good, because most of the actual vertical play is often going to be from above the bomb sites, more so than from below. But you never know. They also, like you said, the Jackal can work in that fashion from below as well. Not much of a surprise there.
Unfortunately, Mira will be banned literally everywhere. So we'll see. Mouse Sports will go for the last ban here.
Most likely Echo.
Makes a lot of sense. Either Echo or Maestro.
Yeah, definitely not a guarantee.
Yeah, 2 ops that have been banned considerably in professional play in general.
definitely a question mark. Though
Maybe Valkyrie, actually.
We have seen that quite often, actually.
Yeah, Valkyrie, Echo, Maestro have been banned quite considerably. We've seen Pulse banned as well at times, and it'll be Maestro.
Maestro.
Yeah, not too surprising. Fairly default bans, except for the Buck. So.
Yeah. Well, that does mean that the Echo, of course, is going to be in play, though, which is, I imagine, going to be used quite a bit because smoke is great in defending the sites and all, but you definitely want that extra little bit. Although the case down here in blue, Sunrise Bar, which is where they're going to be starting on Mouse's first defense, smoke is definitely an important part of that. But Neptune's actually going to be bringing the Echo, so we'll see if Beastly's going to go over the smoke. He plays a lot of Pulse, actually, so it wouldn't surprise me to see him do that. Nope, he's going to ban that smoke. And because Glaz was not banned, VDOT is going to be all over that, which is not a surprise. And we're going to get a Thermite for the hard breacher here from Jigsaw. See if we get any 6 picks, though. Of course, any of those could be switched off.
You've seen, it's actually...
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
From Glass to Blackbeard.
Yeah,
Not a huge difference, other than the ability to see through smoke and whether or not your face has a shield on it, but otherwise a pretty powerful pick. Although
there are no
could
smokes.
Be running the Scar.
Yeah, but there are no smokes that are being run here by Renaissance, so it makes a lot of sense to not really have the Glaz in play. But Mouse will start off in double bars, and they'll be setting up downstairs. I'm interested to see where Vertical sets up his mute jammers, as makes sense to maybe shut down any attackers that are trying to blow up the wall from behind, coming in from the open area, but also reduce any attacks that are coming in from the kitchen. Now, kitchen, the cool vibe stairs, the main hallway, all of them extremely important for the defense, but also hookah and aquarium slash pool table. Yeah. All of these really allow the attackers to get in. Now, this is where, if Buck was not banned, would be coming in and smashing the entirety of the floor.
But of course, UMAD has Sledge.
Yep,
so which definitely will still be done, I imagine.
Yeah, very much viable here. So we'll see Jigsaw coming in. All default cameras will get shot out. As you'll see, VDOT on the Blackbeard is running the Mark 17. Of course, with the recent buff, it does decent chunk of damage, to say the least, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's. I'm convinced that it's worth switching, but at the same time, like I think the recoil has also been slightly modified to be pretty good. So there's the case where that plus the speed buff, and you know, maybe you want to play a little more aggressive. Makes some sense.
I mean, I believe the speed buff applies to shield in general, so putting it on the SR25 or the Mark 7.
But I mean, you might want to go in with a faster fire rate weapon.
That's for sure. And you see the Blackbeard fairly maneuverable, and nowadays, after the patch that happened on Tuesday,
they are going to take Aqua here, and you saw some contention as well here in the C4 shot out of midair. Something you don't see often online, more so on land, but definitely something that's possible, especially when you have to be aiming straight at it. Of course, didn't have to move the mouse much, but that is a great shot there. That is going to help quite a bit, as he still might have been able to take some damage from it had it gone off.
Yeah, VDOT moving in, trying to clear out the minibar, and the flash will get thrown in. Vertical turning around. See the Ash clearing things out. Now, there's no C4, of course, available for Vertical, and maybe Vandal can help out in the push into the hallway, and there we go. We push onto the Ash. Vertical gets one. He'll take down the second. UMAD is now on the floor. Vertical with 30 health left. More than enough to continue the fight. Now both soft breachers will get taken down. Only Jigsaw is alive, and that's now VDOT still holding the back as he has to push into Hookah. He'll find the head on the side here against the Mute, and he'll drop him at the end. Number one, just don't push a Blackbeard.
Yeah, not a great idea. I mean, you saw even the C4 didn't make it through the air. But in this case, he's still going to be pushing fairly aggressively. He just has a little bit less flanking power. Now, of course, could get some support from the Twitch, but Twitch is pushed away. Now slowly rotating over as the Thermite, at least, to get some backup here, because he can only watch limited angles because he's going to stay down scope most of the time on this shield here. So because of that, he's going to need the help. Unfortunately, Legion cannot land enough of those shots to break that shield, which is slightly nerfed in terms of health. But speaking of low health there, Vandal now down pretty low himself, forced to bring out the pistol on the reload. But support from his teammates likely to come soon. You do have 2 Yokai drones from Neptune's. Could have one come up there to support him as well. But instead, he rotates back into the penthouse.
All right, Renaissance still on the outside. Yardy with the Twitch in hand on the ruins, and he finds the headshot on a Beastly. That's now the smoke eliminated by Hyper. really close here on the angles. 8 seconds left on the clock as Hyper finds the second one. Long-range shot onto the head as Yardy will have to come in, but the diffuser is so far away, and Hyper will nail the last shot. 3 headshots, all at range, and Hyper makes everything work so well. He is so good.
Absolutely, and that's what we kind of expect from Hyper, let's be honest. I mean, he's the newest member of the team, but he's the one who's been showing up very, very strong. Not that we don't see some great plays from some of the other members of the team, especially Vertical, for example, can really show up on that roam sometimes. And this is a map that you either roam really well or you get shut down pretty fast, unfortunately. They are going to go for Penthouse Theater this time, going upstairs. Obviously, because they won the bomb site, they need to switch. So this is going to be their secondary. Vertical now going to be on that Vigil, which is not a huge surprise to me. He plays a very good Vigil. This time the Blackbeard not being hid by a 6th pick could potentially be sticky on that, or he could switch over to Glaz. Now, Glaz is going to be a little bit stronger on this particular bomb site. This is one where you'll see him play from the Hall of Fame and force a lot of shots down. But Vertical actually switches over to Pulse, which will be useful from being down in Kitchen to deny from below, which is very likely where we will see him. Although sometimes I've noticed some of the Pulses will rotate in late. They don't want to be caught off guard there early because it's too predictable. So they'll hide more towards the beginning of the round and just try and stay alive, give additional intel to their teammates.
Yeah, it is really all up to Renaissance in this one to come in and clear out the Pulse downstairs before they try to push in onto the penthouse. Now, they still stick to only 1 hard destructor, so that is something to keep in mind. Or Hibana is not banned, so there is that possibility. They might just be looking to push either directly into the penthouse, the big bed itself, or even to push in from the back into the theater. Both are very much viable options. And you know, we've seen them work pretty well, especially the fact that Mouse Sports are not bringing a Mute, they're not bringing in a Bandit in this one.
They're definitely risking getting that wall open on them in the bedroom, although I think it's possible to do some other tricks to stop that from being open, but in this case, like I said, it's just the Thermite, so they just have to find a way to deny him specifically. Could even see the Pulse playing from below to deny him access to that.
That's the thing. Now, for me, it is all up to the IQ and that Ash to really hunt down the Pulse. Now, if Vertical actually plays from downstairs in the kitchen, he'll have Hyper. There you go. Vertical is indeed doing so. Who would have thunk it? VDOT, though, finds the kill on Beastly, who's peeking against the Blackbeard, and he'll get taken down. That's what should be happening if you try to contest an op like that. But you see everybody is set up on the wall, and the information is being relayed in from Vertical, so what is Hyper planning? He might just be looking towards a run out on the outside as Vertical will fall back into the kitchen stockroom. There's not enough information to play off of as he spots the last 2 players going all the way up top. He's not too convinced with the risk.
We could see a potential run out there from Hyper as he's considering it. You saw the crack in the door as well. If there's enough opening on that and they're distracted by Vertical over here, he could get a run out on the main Lamborghini doorway, go for some shots on those repellers, all those people stacked up on that delivery door, assuming, of course, MX Reaper isn't there to stop them, but it looks like he's focused on going upstairs instead, and the intel coming out from Vertical pretty consistently here.
The ADSs will get taken out by the Twitch drone, as Vertical still has a literal beat on his opponents. You see the Claymore that is set up as well right on the exit. The stock of the kitchen. Hyper in Sunrise Bar awaiting any information from his teammate, any order to pounce. Hall of Fame, in the meantime, will get taken control of as Vertical is set up downstairs. Now, UMAD can spot him, and C4 will get thrown up as somehow UMAD will survive this. I'm not sure if this was an intentional bait or not. But you see the trade. Hyper is down on the floor as UMAD is down as well, and Vertical still from below will get the kill. Should be able to pick up his teammate as the Blackbeard enters into the bedroom. And Vandal trying to contest. This time he's the one that's playing on the Jaeger. You see push in from Twitch. He'll get shot down. UMAD as well has been picked up to 50% health. C4 is in, and there you go. Vandal 1, Hyper the 2nd. All on to Reaper versus the 4 of Mouse Sports, who are dismantling the attack of Renaissance here. Reaper will get tagged by the bed. The diffuser's on the other side of the room. The Yokai will drop. Hyper comes in from the back, and an easy kill on the Ash.
I find it a little strange that they opened that particular panel of the wall because that's the farthest one from the one you want to open. Maybe they were going for a less predictable plant, but either way, you can still creep over to that side if you want to from the panel that is the third panel, essentially the one that is closest to the bed in the corner right there. Usually that's the one that's open because you can creep on over. And you saw the visibility angle. You saw it from Axe's perspective looking towards the other room, towards theater. The angles there are much harder to fight because the bed headboard itself actually starts to get a bit in the way. That provides a little bit of cover. Obviously that does make for a more predictable C4 spot, but that's only when you're actually going to plant. You did see the C4 unfortunately did come out from below instead, thanks to the Pulse doing a great job. I loved the cover that Vertical was able to provide to save his teammate. You saw his teammate lying on the ground in Sunrise Bar about to die. He came on over, saved his life, picked him back up. Worked out very nice, and despite some of the losses, losing the smoke early, for example, they were able to recover that. VDOT bringing out something here to try and push their way, and I imagine from delivery, as that's the most consistent way to use Candelas to push into the kitchen, assuming they know it's the kitchen, of course, because again, they did with the defense on that, so they have to switch to a third bomb site. In this case, they could go Hookah, but Hookah is such an uncommon one to pick that if I was Renaissance, I would be predicting that they would be playing on kitchen next.
Yeah, we'll go down to kitchen, as you were just mentioning. So we'll get to see how this setup is being played by Mouse Sports. Of course, to remind you, if you're not really familiar with the format, we play 5 rounds on defense, then 5 rounds on the attack. So once we hit round number 6, we'll switch sides and we'll continue with our plays. That is something that is different to ranked play.
And it's first to 6, but with the chance of overtime. If it does end up in a 5-5 situation, we do have best of 3 overtime. So it's a little bit different than some other formats that might be more like best of 1 or the things where they're not going to have that overtime situation. So definitely keep in mind that because it's best of 3 and there is overtime, it could definitely be a bit longer for these teams. So they will have to pace themselves for that possibility. We'll see Beastly again taking a smidge of damage at the very beginning there. He's struggling a bit with that, but nonetheless, going to be just fine for the moment. We are seeing Hyper back on the Jaeger. Last time he wasn't on the Jaeger, he had, I believe it was Vandal playing the Jaeger instead. So he's going to be comfortable switching right on back to that. Vertical playing another roam operator here. Although Hyper trying to play off those holograms, if he can help it.
Yeah, of course, Alibi has the holograms that will detect any people that either run into it, shoot into it, or run drone into it. So got to be very careful of what you do. Though the shotgun will get thrown in by the Twitch.
Could be used to take out some of the holograms, assuming they find them, and then you can shoot the base of it.
Yeah, one thing as well, since we haven't seen a glass yet, but because he's not available, but still, if you're glass and you're looking through prismas compared to an Alibi, they won't show in yellow. Whereas if it is actually Alibi, she will show in full-blown yellow, just in case you did not know that. And there you go. They're going to breach into the kitchen just by opening up the side.
Yeah, we'll see, though. They did have pretty poor time management last time in terms of their push, taking quite a while. Looks like a similar situation here in the fact that it's already the minute-and-a-half mark. They don't seem to have a ton of map control other than some angles in it, which they're holding from pretty much all the entry points. They're slowly creeping up, and they have yet to do any damage to the defenders or even really push roamers out of their positions. You see Vertical, for example, creeping around with Hyper, playing from security. So far, they're doing a great job staying alive. There we go. And they'll drop down towards to support the Ying down there.
And Vertical coming around from the blue bar, so he can definitely catch all of his opponents off guard as the drone is too slow. There we go. Sprays in with the MX4, the entire mag. Getting 2 kills, and Hyper coming in from the side as well to contest that cool vibe stairs. Hyper gets 1, and UMAD will be down. Now Yardy and Jigsaw, the last 2 alive. As Mouse Sports try to push in against Jigsaw, he will get the kill on Vertical. No damage done to the last 2 players of Renaissance, but they have to push through Mouse Sports with 32 seconds left on the clock. You got to be careful with your time management. Well, drop right into the Jaeger, but no, that's the diffuser, and he pushes it right into the hands of Hyper. And now Yardy is all on his own. He's got to frag out against the last 4 players, including the Echo with Yokais that are preset on the entrance of the kitchen. Yardy turns around as he's getting contested from the bar. Yardy gets 1 on the Hyper, but he can't find the rest. 3 seconds on the clock, and maybe he'll have to push in right at the end. No, there's not much that he can do, and that'll be the end of the round. Round number 3 will go again the side of Mouse Sports.
Fortunately, even a push in at that point wouldn't have done any good because there wasn't enough people around for him to kill everyone on the defense. As well, of course, he did not have the diffuser. We're seeing a lot of Yardy standing outside the window fire again. We saw that in the previous round as well. Seems to be struggling with being... He is an entry frag operator. That is a role that is very commonly used for an entry frag. So the fact that he's standing outside, unfortunately, I think is doing a lot of disservice to his team. Not that he isn't occasionally getting kills and doing some work with it, but having that particular operator standing there watching a window, when you're willing to play a Blackbeard, seems a little bit of an odd choice to me. It seems like maybe they don't have the confidence to push in a lot of these sites, or they're spending a lot of time watching angles and hoping that Mouse is just going to walk into one of those mouse traps, and it's not the case so far. All the traps definitely on their favor. Vandal going to 6-pick over, and we are, of course, going to go to bar again because they can play that, and they have to switch yet again, and no hookah for them. Back to bar, which is their primary.
Yeah, back to bar they go. They did start off on this one, so we'll see how Mouse set up on this.
Oh, a Glass and a Blackbeard, so not one or the other this time. They again, though, as you mentioned before, not bringing any smoke operators. Now, they can't obviously bring smokes on Glass himself, but the lack of additional smoke operators here is a little bit odd. I mean, this is a case where you would expect the Jackal or Dukabi to be able to bring those extra smokes to help out with that, just because of how efficient it is to have someone else not only throwing it while you shoot, but also to have those extra ones in case ADSs pick up some.
Two things to mention. One, no hard breachers at all by Renaissance. Number two, they've been having problems dealing with the roamers. Bring a Dokkaebi. Come on. It's not that difficult. She's available. You can pick her up.
Lion wasn't even banned.
Yeah.
Which is already rare itself.
Buck is banned.
Yeah.
That's the oddity here.
Yeah.
Usually you'd see a Glass being the second ban, Lion being one of them. Here, not the case. Use those operators to your advantage, because I bet you when Mouse Sports are in the attack, they will not be giving you any quarter.
It definitely could be the case that Renaissance are just used to them being banned and prepared for that with their strategies, but as you said, when they're not absolutely taking advantage of it, at least they're doing so with Glass in this case, but they don't seem to be accentuating it as well as they should be in terms of support operators around. But you never know, you can get some good Glass Blackbeard combo if you can watch some good angles, and that seems to be one of the few things that Renaissance can do is watch angles. So that is, I guess, well suited to them. We have UMAD on the Twitch now instead of Yardy. Maybe he'll be a little bit more aggressive on it, but it looks like he's doing some droning for himself as opposed to having someone drone him in. So that is a little bit of a slow push. Like you said, they have no hard breachers. You don't absolutely need them on this site, but it certainly helps. You can take from some of the other sides instead. You can take a bit from Blue Bar. You can take a bit from Kitchen. Push down Cool Vibes. There's definitely different angles you can push without needing a hard breacher, but it certainly helps.
Hyper, so good. He contests the first one, and he gets the kill. Unfortunately, cannot get the kill on the second long-range combatant, and that is Jigsaw on the Glass. He'll take some damage and get dropped down to 65 health, but it is not the end of the world. Though the loss of the Blackbeard compared to the Jaeger, definitely early on in the hands of Mouse Sports.
Yeah, I mean, the Jaeger, of course, had done his setup, I would imagine. And then, of course, it did lead to another kill there. Glass, unfortunately, unable to trade that back as he is so focused on just trying to land his shots and get away. Now advantage is again over to Mouse, as it is one-man loss for Mouse, two-man for Renaissance, and at least one of those being an important operator for them.
Yeah, the Ash is really, you know, one of the two soft destructors that they have. It's not like it would be very helpful on a site like this where hard destruction is very important. However, the attack from Renaissance, fairly one-dimensional, and Neptunes will get the slash onto Yardy, and then Beastly and Vandal will follow up. Round number 4, the way of Mouse Sports again, and just really giving no options. You can't, look, if you're Renaissance, you cannot expect to run in the front door on the bar and expect just to get kills off of it. Push in from the kitchen, take control of hookah, contest cool vibes, cut off rotations.
That's
not like this.
They had a sledge. They could have taken from above, taking control of hookah, as you said, and just done some damage from above. They could have forced him out of the other side of the bar. They could have just shot through the floor at that point. If you know where the bar is at, you don't even need to open it necessarily. Yeah, you do less damage to the wood, but at that point, just spray through the floor with the SMG-11, and at the point you know most people are going to be hiding, you're very likely to kill someone, or, you know, just open the floor and you have 2 grenades. As, you know, you have the Ash that could have been able to use to clear out some of those ADSs, although he died early, but it's still a situation where he could have done that prior to that. They could have been in a situation where they tried to clear ADSs for those smokes. I guess there wouldn't have been an ADS there because the smokes went off just fine. So there's a chance that those were already cleared. So again, a lot of misplays and unfortunately a lot of late pushes here coming out from Renaissance. At least they had 3 people left alive at that point. And if someone died, the diffuser was all going to be near those people, so they would have been able to pick it up. But that's not much at that point.
No, this is pretty much breadcrumbs at the end of the round. And it's definitely not something you should be looking towards.
2 hard breachers this time, though. And 2 soft breachers, so they're definitely ready to open some stuff up. Whether they can kill anyone through it, we'll see, but...
Much better change, if you ask me.
Yeah, and they're going against Penthouse last time. Again, they opened, or they made an odd choice in the panel to open. This time they could potentially just open a sight lane there if they want, and then open up the correct panel with Thermite. They are, again, not bringing a Bandit or a Mute to stop that wall from being opened, which, as we saw last time, didn't stop it from being open because they didn't really do anything to counter that. Unfortunately, Hyper with a misplaced camera, they're just deciding to shoot it rather than waste time picking it back up. But either way, I'm sure he'll be fine. He's been doing quite fine regardless most of these rounds. We are already getting closer and closer to map point here. Now, of course, we have a minimum of 2 maps, so even if Mouse win this fairly soon here, we will still get to see Clubhouse and see if Renaissance has some good tricks up their sleeve for that map.
All right, UMAD is coming in. He'll get the spot.
Oh.
Don't tase him.
So tempted right now. There we go.
Don't tase him. There you go.
Use the information.
Use your team. Tell your teammate to get on the
there
drone.
We
Here
go.
You go. Vandal finally
nicely done.
Getting taken down.
Well played by UMAD there. Doing a good job again. He's definitely going to need to try and play off of this, though, and use these drones as effectively as possible. Now, he doesn't need to open up any mirrors or anything with those, so it's not as important that you get in there to any particular area, but he is going to, unfortunately, get caught before he can get any utility in that room, as Vertical gets into a pretty big fight in the bathroom. Unfortunately, he is pinched out pretty easily by Yardy there. They had, as you could saw from the blue outlines, surrounded him. So unfortunate for him, as that is now 2 of Mouse Sports players down. Maybe the first round we see Renaissance actually getting a strong lead here, but only a minute 30 left to capitalize on it.
Yeah. Hopefully this round does not stall out for Renaissance. They need to keep the momentum going here. Devin might be able to get the shot. No, Hyper turns around and gets the kill onto Reaper, and he takes no damage in the meantime. Now Renaissance losing out on one of their operators. They can, though, open up the bedroom. They'll have to deal with the Nitro Cell here because Hyper can definitely throw that out. They both contest Hyper as somehow he is, again, still alive.
1 HP, though. Somehow I feel like he can still get him 1 more kill before he goes.
I'm pretty sure he can. That is Hyper, after all.
Well, that evens things up, at least outside of health. Does use his C4, though, unfortunately does not get any kills out of it. At least there's a situation, though, with 45 seconds left and a 3v3 with a Smoke and an Echo both left alive. Renaissance need to start to make a push.
Yeah, see the Yokai has been sighted by the Twitch. Tell in the back. Diffuser will get set in by the Thermite. No, Jigsaw is going to try and contest as the Yokai is going to get spotted. And this Neptune's losing out on his equipment. Cast canister will get thrown into the back as the fire from the FAMAS rages in. The Thermite, though, not being watched. He'll get down. UMAD, though, with a refrag onto Beastly. Hyper so low on health. He can still find it. No, UMAD coming in, and the fire from the F2. VDOT coming in from the side as well as he rotates all the way through the L hallway and into the theater. From the back, the Echo will get shot down, and the first round will be put on the board by Renaissance as we switch sides, and not a moment too soon.
Definitely. It is a bummer, obviously, for Renaissance that it took them 4 rounds to finally win an attack round on their final attack round. So they're like, okay, we finally figured this out, but too little too late. Now they're going to have to defend. Hopefully they could pick up some ideas from what they saw from Mouse, having had 4 successful defenses. Obviously they were doing something right. That was a good start, though. UMAD getting that initial kill inside VIP, that was really, I think, what started to shape that into a round they could possibly win, because it was an uncontested kill as well. He didn't take any damage doing it. It was a little bit of a problem for them how much damage Hyper was able to do. Had he been able to finish that second kill, though, I think it would have been a position where Mouse would have been able to take that round. It was unfortunate also the Yokai was spotted, and that definitely did not help. And as you mentioned, of course, Mouse not going to be any stranger to bringing out the Lion. They did sneak it in as a 6th pick, but they're definitely going to be using it here. Like you said, they're not going to be shy about taking advantage of the operators that were not banned.
And you really should not be.
Yeah.
There's no shame in bringing Lion.
Unless there's a gentleman's agreement against it, I suppose.
Yeah, that almost happened. But Mouse Sports setting up here for the attack. We'll see Jigsaw bringing out the Doc, so we'll have 2 ACOGs available for Renaissance.
Yeah, assuming VDOT's not on the Supernova for some weird reason. One can hope.
Yeah. We have been seeing a lot of Supernova play.
Yeah. We are going to see Hyper on the Sledge because, of course, Buck being banned. It seems like we're going to see a lot of Sledge play because, like you mentioned, there's a lot of vertical play on here, and it's a situation where you can take advantage of a lot of the top floors, especially, for example, on this kitchen here, where you'll see it be contested a lot from VIP and the penthouse area upstairs. So because of that, they're going to be using that if Hyper can get control of that room. They are going to start to approach, though. Make sure they can at least get any kind of cameras that are thrown outside, but in this case, thankfully there are none. Now, they do see the 5 operators that are picked to begin with, so they can see, okay, we're not going to have to worry about cameras outside, but they have to worry about, there could be a 6th pick. We could potentially have to worry about some that we don't know about. But in all fairness, the defenders are at a bit of a disadvantage in 6th pick because drones will be able to identify many of them. However, good teams are going to drone carefully and not necessarily identify a lot of the operators right away because they're focused on map control.
And not only that, this is the attacking side on Coastline, which is a side that is mostly famous for having a big advantage. UMed, how is he alive? He'll try to run away on the Jaeger, and Hipfire's not going to work out up close there. Unfortunately, he still gets the kill. What? Vertical is down, and UMed. Oh my god, there you go. Finally, Hyper will take him out, but that took way
Now, if Hyper had been a Buck, if he'd been able to play Buck, you saw the situation, what he was trying to do. Normally, that would have been a skeleton key opening that up. Likely would have killed UMed earlier. So the Buck ban, I guess, slightly working out for Renaissance there in that they were able to get a kill on vertical first.
Yep, there you go. The ban phase in the works.
Doing what it can.
Doing what it can. We'll see what Renaissance can do because they have quite a bit to claw up. It's very important for Renaissance to not cede this round away to Mouse Sports, because this would give the 5th round on the board for him. Hyper doesn't even need the Buck. He'll still get the kill. Now, unfortunately, the shot did not land on the dock below, as Jigsaw will evade the last shots. Beastly will wait around on the cooldown for the P1D. Hyper opening up the floorboard here in the penthouse as he still cannot find the head. Oh no! Oh no! He falls back just as he takes the damage from the dock of Jigsaw. He's gonna still keep getting spotted. You saw him pushing into the restroom, and there you go. You see the setup as well from Neptune's trying to push him off of this angle, and oh, he just sprays into the foot. Use your grenades, my dude. There you go. More damage done as Neptune's finally getting the kill. You'll see the dock on the floor as Neptune's walks right into the site. And Beastly, the last one on to Yardy. Mouse Sports will now be set on map point.
Yep.
I'll remind you that this is a best of 3, and in this best of 3 format, you cannot tie. You can go, however, into overtime. And as usual, it is a best of 3.
So far, overtime not looking super likely for at least this map. As 5-1 it's a bit of a climb back they're going to have to make here. 4 rounds in a row to be able to pull that off. Not looking likely from Renaissance, but it is possible. Now, they have only been on defense 1 round so far. They did lose it, but at least they put a little bit of hurt onto Mouse. If they can figure out what they did wrong, they're going to try Kitchen again. And this is a case where maybe they'll be able to make it work this time. We're going to see the same operators for the most part looking like from coming out from Mouse. This time not 6th picking over the Lion. Just, you don't really need to surprise the second time. So I appreciate not seeing that consistent 6th pick sort of thing that we see some teams do where they'll just 6th pick the same operator over and over. Jigsaw, on the other hand, is going to use it to actually try and trick them into thinking the dock's going to be coming out again, but has yet to decide. There we go. He's going to be pulling out Echo, which I think is a good choice here. Echo is a nice one, and he's also still going to get the ACOG. As you saw before, they had the Echo and the dock. This time, the Echo switching in for the dock means they're going to go for a little bit of different approach here. We'll see if they're able to hold it this time, although I'll be honest, I think maybe one more round at most, just off of what we've seen so far from Renaissance, but they could have a little bit of a rally.
Yeah, we'll see what they can do in that one.
12.
Hyper, not surprising at all.
Nope. Living up to his name as usual.
It's a dime a dozen, right?
Yeah. There you go. That's why that toxic behavior, not so good.
Yeah, Mr. Bacon Bear.
Well, that'll teach him. A name like that, so toxic. Well, we'll see what they have in store this round. Now, I got to imagine Hyper's going to have to be a little more careful with the sledging. But one thing to note is the sound difference. So sledging can be a little tricky in terms of the sound. It can be a little bit more quiet than the skeleton key sometimes. So it's a situation where you saw sometimes he was opening up the floor and them not reacting immediately. So that is one slight difference in terms of using the sledge to open up that floor in the VIP room. But it didn't end up resulting in any kills. And there we go, almost a kill on Vertical's head there. Got to be careful. We saw that a couple times from Renaissance as well. Just the close calls in terms of almost team killing.
It's all planned. It's all to keep the action rolling.
They're just keeping it interesting for us.
Yep, so thank you very much, both teams, Renaissance and Mouse Sports. Though, we'll see the Thatcher downstairs droning through the main hallway, the main lobby. Hyper, of course, setting up still on the bathroom. And we'll drop in the drone. And you mentioned before that if you were the Buck, you would open up the boards here to have an angle to contest into the Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, the patch that allows the sledge to chuck his sledgehammer into the wall.
Yeah, unfortunately delayed.
Yeah, Jean-Baptiste, if you're listening.
Well, he only does balance now, so.
Unfortunate. I mean, it is a balance
that's a good
feature,
point.
right?
It's not a new op.
Oh, there we go. We'll be able to find him the headshot on a Jigsaw.
Nicely done.
Yeah, when you stick to your equipment on the yokai, you get spotted by the AQ because it's still a phone and it is an active phone. So you're already moving in from behind, and Mouse Sports should be able to hear the impact that went up in the VIP lounge.
I like the idea of him trying to take VIP, but unfortunately Hyper says this is my domain, shuts him down very quickly. At least the Lion is down, so the last player here, VDOT, not going to get denied movement. But unfortunately, Guns watching those angles will potentially do that. Vertical, however, watching the wrong side of the door, switches over quickly and ends things mercifully on VDOT for this map at least. And that's the good half coming out for the end of this map. Very nicely done by Mouse. Although they let Renaissance take a map, they're never going to live that down.
I mean, it is half.
Or round,
say
sorry.
Good third? GT?
Well, it depends. I mean, the way Mouse has been playing might just be good half. That being said, of course...
Throwing shade there, Devin!
Well, I'm only going off of the performance we've seen so far.
True.
Clubhouse could be very different. I could be totally eating my words next map. They could have a fantastic Clubhouse play because it is a newer map in a way, and that offers the opportunity for underdog teams or teams that are less known to pull out some interesting surprises on it. I mean, I think overall, since the map's debut, we have seen a lot of interesting ideas on it. For some reason, a lot of Montaigne play, which has surprised me, but it is a viable strategy for some teams, I suppose.
Yeah, we've seen it in quite a few leagues as well, having the Monty being pulled out here and there, even going for a garage push with it, either opening up even the balcony, having Thermite Wall to just push into the site. We haven't seen a push from construction into cash with a Monty just yet, I believe.
Give it time.
Give it.
It's bound to happen. But either way, I do imagine we will see at least a bit of top floor play regardless. We don't really know what Renaissance is going to play, but either way, in terms of their bomb sites, we'll see what they have in store. But I guess we're going to take a look at some recap.
Yeah,
the action you just saw.
We'll show you the replays of the game that just happened. Of course, our first map, Vertical here, able to get the 2K on the Ash and on the Sledge. Now, for you, Devin, what's the biggest problem with the Renaissance in this matchup?
Well, a lot of their fights were unfortunately 1v1s, whereas you saw a lot more... I love that flying body. The ragdoll system's great in this game. But you see, they were trying to pressure onto Hyper, for example, right there, but he wasn't being pressured by multiple opponents. He's being pressured one-on-one. And when we saw a lot of fights won by Renaissance, it was either due to good intel on their part. They were like literally able to find someone via a drone, or it was team fights where they were actually taking advantage of finding situations where they could actually get someone and then dogpiling on them instead of just taking it in 1v1s, because they just could not win most of those 1v1s. I mean, in all fairness, Yardy should have won that fight, and it just happened to be the movement of his body down while he was prone. Neptune was able to get that knife. But Hyper, though, in
It
theory,
did
should have
happen
won that
last
fight.
week with that knife.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. That was heavy, as you saw in the highlights at the open of the show. A very fantastic knife from him on this map. But either way, some good vertical play as well, despite the lack of buck.
Yeah, and Vertical played pretty well in this matchup.
Oh!
Got him!
All right. Well, and that is the fun highlights from what you just saw. Now, of course, we have one more map minimum for these two teams to provide some more juicy highlights after that. And then, of course, we could make it all the way to map 3. Maybe not as likely, but still a possibility here is, you know, now maybe Renaissance have figured out, okay, we know what we're up against. We know how to adjust to it in theory. This is a short little break for them in a sense where they can collect their thoughts, think about it. They may have a coach, for all we know, that could be going, you guys are doing this, this, and this wrong. You guys just need to make those adjustments. Could be. Could be. A lot of speculation. We don't really know, but Clubhouse, like I said, is a little newer, a little fresher, could offer some possibilities they could exploit.
Yeah, I'll remind you as well to share your thoughts and tweet at us with the official hashtag R6USN for US Nationals. We already heard your info, and I know I'm far away from Devon, but near, far, wherever you are,
Tweet
the
at
heart
us.
must go on. But let's head into the game. Clubhouse awaits.
Well, we will, of course, get new bans, new operator bans, because each time, each map gets its own set of bans. Habana going to be the first one going off here for this map. And that is not too uncommon for this particular map, but it is definitely going to be a problem. Could even see double hard breaches, but very unlikely.
Blitz
Mouse,
again.
Yeah, but this time it's from Mouse again on the other side. They're on attack, so they're banning second. Do not want to play against Blitz for whatever reason in the current situation.
I don't know why.
I mean, he's so underpowered right now.
Yeah. I mean, he's barely used at all.
Yeah, especially not in Latin America for some reason.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true.
All right, sarcasm aside,
No,
it's definitely
what?
it is interesting though to see it so often because it's a situation where I mean, yeah, you could look at Finka's in play now potentially, maybe something we don't want to deal with, but it's just got to be a preference thing because it doesn't seem to be map specific.
Yeah, Maestro Echo here. Maestro Echo, come on.
That's very likely. I mean, let's be honest. This is pretty close to the bans we saw last time in theory, except for the Buck in this case, and then the Echo now instead of Maestro. And we use those kind of somewhat interchangeably because that is generally one of the bans, is one of those two. And then, of course, Mira is also a common one as well, so it's not a huge surprise.
All right, and this time, as you mentioned, Mouse are starting on the attack with Renaissance on the defense, and they're going to kick it off on Church and Arsenal. So excited to see what this site brings because it has not been played too much, or at least as much as Cash and Bedroom have been on this map. I'm excited to see what will change, and maybe we'll stick to this, and maybe there will be a Maestro pick at the end of it.
I don't know. I can't see Hyper playing Montaigne, but it's definitely a possibility. That could definitely be a 6th pick tease, though, given how prevalent he has been on this map for whatever reason. He could just be teasing that out, and he is going to do exactly that and switch back over to the Jackal that he was picked on before, which I think makes a lot of sense and will definitely make life harder for UMAD, who is 6th picked over to the Vigil. I think Jackal's a good choice for this map because one of the possibilities that was offered by a lot of the changes was the potential for more roaming, especially on this bomb site, which unfortunately has often not worked out too great, but Jackal's going to make that near impossible as they track down those footprints. And these teams are so practiced on droning out this map already, they don't have to add too many extra locations to drone out. So they're still going to be fairly thorough at making sure they clear it very quickly. And that's where UMAD's going to have to play very smart and time the usage of visibility quickly.
Alrighty then. We'll see how this here plays out because, again, as you mentioned, that Vigil linchpin.
Yeah.
Sure, this is brand new. I mean, brand new style of playing the map. We talked about Church in the past. Oh, roaming on Church, not really going to happen. Well, here, you kind of can. You got 2 staircases to play with. Of course, you have the main one and this one. And I like the fact that the smoke is reinforcing that wall because usually you'll see the attackers coming in either with a Zofia or a sledge and be like, oh, they didn't reinforce it. Let's just smash the wall open and we can go in and plant very easily if they're going for a standard.
It's a very common thing. If you leave that unreinforced, it's most likely going to be exploited by a good team.
Now, the fact that the Habana is banned, it very much does limit the attack of Mouse.
In theory, this is the best bomb site for that.
So, of course, Habana, if you have her on here, you got 3 X-Kairos, and all of them perfect to deal with all the hatches. And almost perfect Ash plate. No, UMAD will still get the kill, and hello, Dot. He's right behind. Vertical still getting the kill. Now,
nice pinch attempt, but man,
it's a 1-to-1. The Vigil, the Vigil is somehow still alive in cash room, but the Jaeger is low on health. Vertical will come in from the side. He's trying to find the angle. Let's see, the Vigil has rotated to the other side of the room. Information will get relayed in for Vertical as he'll try to contest against the SMG-12. Not something that I really would be considering, as the SMG-12 definitely can rip and tear through anything. Beastly coming in from the back will get the kill. So
that's
all
the example
of that,
there. The pinches I was talking about. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but like that is demonstration of what they were doing correctly in the other map that Renaissance were just not doing.
So we'll see how the Ash maneuvers in, possibly taking control of those blue stairs. Should not really be anything out of the ordinary with all the hatches being reinforced. The Thermite will set up, and we should be seeing a push in from Moto and from Blue anytime now.
Yeah, they definitely are going to only be able to open up 2 hatches, which is what you were talking about earlier about Habana being banned, will be a disadvantage on this particular site, because opening 2 hatches is almost mandatory, and that doesn't save you any to open up, say, Church Wall or anything like that. So they're definitely going to have to push down the slower way here. It looks like they're going to go for Blue and Bar hatch there, and they're going to start to drop down potentially into Moto, as Neptunes has already done so. Has no more EMPs left, so he's not going to be throwing any out from there. But this play from the Legion, oh, there's a smoke as well. Could catch him off guard.
Yeah, just a bit of smoke, and this is expended at the 40-second mark, so it's a bit early, but still can be fairly well timed. This second gas canister might get thrown in just a second here to slow down the attack. You see the Ash is already taking control of Blue and will be peeking into the armory. It's in the back as Jigs to get one. He peeks for the second, cannot find it. That's up to Vertical, but from the back will still find the kill here. Yardy on a Vertical. It's a 2 versus 2 as Vandal cannot put this down, and he'll get shot down at the end even by a goo mine. That will be it. He's being gooed at the end because it got thrown into him, and the fact that there was the smoke. It's a 7-second plant time, and that is really barely enough to try and stick it.
I think the unfortunate thing that round for Mouse was that roamer play up top, right? Where you had the 2 roamers playing the cache area. The part that was kind of the problem for them was the fact that they were coordinating those pushes, but the first person who died was the Jackal. That meant it was a situation where they were having to manually ping with drones, and you saw UMAD on that Vigil was taking advantage of that fact. He kept rotating. Every time he got pinged, killed the drone, rotated to the other side of the room. Continued to repeat that to keep Vertical off his game the whole time, and it absolutely worked. Eventually, it took the Sledge coming around from a different angle to actually get that kill. I mean, to be fair, Vertical might have been able to land it with such low health on UMAD at that point, but it was still a situation where they were playing very smart on the roam game in terms of dodging constantly and playing intelligence. I mean, yeah, the Jaeger died getting shot in the back, but he got a kill first, and that was the important thing. Overall, though, I feel like that roam game really helped out, and that's what we're talking about, is we don't see a roam game very often on that bomb site anymore, but when it works, and it works well inside cache, that's the achievement you get, and that puts Renaissance at an early lead.
Yep, this is now doubling the rounds that they've had so far in this matchup. So we'll see what happens on this cache/CCTV hold. Yardy will be bringing the Maestro, and this is an operator that I love seeing in general, but also especially when it is a defense on this site, because Garage can be held a bit more effectively. You can put him in the back in the cache room to contest. You can literally put that Maestro anywhere, and he would still be a big part and big efficient part of your defense.
Especially on this bomb site. I feel like this is a good one for Maestro, and it's definitely something where good use of those cameras are not only going to help get intel on a push that's coming in without you having to peek too many angles, especially once walls are opened. It's also going to give you the ability to potentially deny some drones and other utility that's coming in, maybe even do some damage to anyone trying to go for that plant if they, for example, lose the smoke, but they didn't bring a smoke, which is an interesting choice here.
Now, interestingly enough, the Evil Eye is going to get set really on the workbench in construction, but the sidewall from Kennels is not reinforced.
Interesting choice. And the hot tub wall also not reinforced, which means he's going to be able to go in very easily. And now Hyper will hopefully be able to get some footprints before he dies this time. Obviously, those pings are also fairly slow. I mean, maybe a little bit faster than manually sending in drone after drone, I would imagine, though.
Speaking of drones, we might just be seeing Hyper moving on to his own. The wall here should not really be reinforced. Oh, there we go. It is reinforced, though. The office into construction wall, and even the second one from construction leading into that cash room. You see the wall on your left-hand side is not reinforced as well. VDOT playing from below. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's a lot.
The one coming in from Kennels. Interesting.
Yeah, well, they're going to start to get set up here, but they're very stacked up, and that's going to give VDOT the opportunity to potentially sneak around. However, you saw Beastly watching the stairwell. Well, there's a nice attempt to use the Evil Eye.
Another thing is that the hatch is not open, which is not your standard thing. The breaching rounds will get used here, so the Evil Eye is... No, it does not get destroyed. Oh my god, no, there we go. Finally, we'll get shot down.
Well, in the meantime, they do have the intel that there's a lot of people stacked up in there. It could be something VDOT can take advantage of if he can get past Beastly. UMAD also trying to find some angles, but VDOT slowly approaches, and UMAD actually able to hang out in garage. Could rotate around through a variety of avenues as well if they don't drone him there. Hyper, unfortunately, has not gotten a lot of footprints, but he's still going to continue to gunfight on low health now.
Even peeking against the Jackal with the ACOG, the C7E that is very much notorious for having little to no recoil and very controllable at distance. So the Maestro doing damage. Hyper will get reset. It's 30 seconds left on the clock as Neptunes will get the kill on to VDOT. There we go. This is taking a lot of time here, Mouse. Make sure that you're back on that push instantly. And Beastly will get the kill on a Yardy. Spray in the back for Beastly, cannot find the shot. Vertical might have to rush into the site, and he's not found the angle just yet. Smokes in to ease the Ash into the site, but UMAD will find the hit. He'll find the second one as well as he rotates onto the site. The Thatcher, or the Thermite, will try to plant as the Thatcher holds in from the back. Jigsaw gets the final kill, though, and prevents the plant. And now it's Renaissance that puts the round on the board. It's 2 in a row.
They're definitely playing a good game in terms of those fights. Just time management alone is ultimately what cost them. You saw they did win the fight against the Roamers, and that was a big deal there, getting that kill onto the Jaeger. But nonetheless, you saw them just stack up inside the construction connector room and not be able to push anywhere from there. I mean, good job on the Jaeger. Having his ADS is a good position, forcing them to fight that Maestro. That Evil Eye took so much utility just for them to get rid of, even though they had a Sledge who could, in theory, have just walked up and slapped it. Nonetheless, very, very good play by Renaissance, and some good frags there, especially from UMAD coming out. Definitely made that a lot harder of a push, and time management ultimately was not on Mouse's side, which is ironic given the fact that they got into the actual gym and bedroom so quickly, which is just adjacent to the bomb site, that it's surprising they were not able to turn that around into an actual push into the site. Just lack of kills, lack of utility pushing them. So
a 6-pick onto the Ella, not surprising. I mean, we've seen Cav, played by Mouse, actually, remember?
Yeah, vertical.
Yeah.
He's a bit of a nutter.
Yeah, we don't have Cafe anymore in the map pool, unfortunately, but still.
Well, now we are going to have to go to their third bomb site, which again is going to be upstairs, bedroom, and gym, because they have won their 2 bomb sites. This is going to be their third, because very few teams want to go to bar in this current situation, which is not too different, I suppose, than the old clubhouse, although they would have preferred that over these 2 bomb sites before. But since the renovations, that has been a bit of a renaissance of clubhouse.
All right, we'll see this side. Now, we've seen a lot of play on bedroom and on gym using a castle. There won't be any such operator here, but there is a bandit. And the thing is, if you're going to try and bandit trick, it's not as easy as you would think.
Yeah, it's definitely problematic there. However, impact tricking does work pretty well. That being said, they might not have any operators with impacts outside of the Vigil. Yeah, that's what I mean. And he's probably going to be on the roam, unless he's going to stick there. They could bring impacts on smoke, and that is something we have seen some teams do, specifically to be able to impact trick that. I feel like that's the new way to say it, like bandit trick, impact trick.
Yep.
Either way. though, it could be a problem for them. They are at least going to take Cash first if they can fight these fights. Unfortunately, just barely missing Jigsaw. He's going to get away, but if they can take and clear Cash Room quickly, that could definitely help this push because time management was such a problem for them last
Jackal
time.
trick, though.
Yeah, that is why this Jackal definitely going to be important for this because Jigsaw now going to have to struggle on that roam.
He'll have to fall back down as Hyper and the team will keep tabs on the Ela for just a bit. VDOT is on the site. There is a soft wall between him and his opponents as Hyper will use the ITA to his advantage. Perfect use of the utility. Barbed Wire will get cleaned up as the ADS will catch the second Schmott thrown into the back. Hyper getting the kill on VDOT. 4 now left alive for Renaissance. Great clear early on, but the Ela is still alive downstairs in the back of the armory.
So is UMAD as well, and so between those two roamers, that's going to be the big struggle for Mouse because they just have not been able to push quickly once they get this much control to turn it into an actual bomb site push. But the fact there are so many off-site could work in their advantage here if UMAD doesn't rotate back to site like it looks like he's doing now.
Now Vandal will use his exothermic charge to open up the office. And that gives an extra bit of line of sight onto that objective. So here we got Vertical watching in. He's bringing in breaching charges as well. Fortunately, there are no soft walls that he can use, and Reaper will spot the drone, take it out, but that's a shotgun. Do you want to push the shotgun up close? Yeah.
This is what Vertical's for.
It's actually very true.
Just throw him at it. Ooh, unfortunate.
He was ready for the shotgun, not for the SMG-11. We'll just call it that.
Ooh.
Beastly getting the kill, and the grenade is going to get lobbed into the back of the bathroom. No damage done. The last 3 alive for Renaissance with 30 seconds on the clock. 1 through, and it will land. It will force the Vigil out of position here in the gym. Maybe go for the plant. You see Jigs rotating in from the main stairs. Vigil coming in from behind. This can definitely ruin the day of Mouse Sports. Impacting to the side, but you see Mouse are already holding the back. Vandal will try to go for the plant as it will hit. Neptunes will get one. The Ela's last alive, and Beastly will give Mouse Sports their first round of this map.
That almost could have been another round that they lost due to time management. Even the first round where they did get the plant down was still, I feel like, a loss due to time management in terms of the fact that they were panicking to plant the diffuser down inside smoke. Although in that case, they only had 2 people left alive and were trying to get that down so they could focus on the fights. Nonetheless, though, the slowdowns that are happening here are really making it hard for Mouse. That round, however, they won many more fights, and the roamers who were rotating back to site, unfortunately, were rotating back kind of loudly or putting themselves in positions that were not great. I appreciate what UMAD was trying to do, but unfortunately, impacting there kind of gave himself away. Not to mention, he shot a drone that was looking. You saw the drone, I believe, that was at the top of the cache stairs, was active at the time.
Yep.
So that is a huge giveaway to watch that flank as you saw the line turn around and watch that doorway. So unfortunately, at that point, his big surprise entrance with the impact nade wasn't going to have the impact he was hoping for. And there's Neptunes faking the Thatcher, but he's really going to bring that Jackal after, or not Jackal, but Lion after all, different African animal.
Yep, here, all American animals, to say the least, in their plays.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being confused.
Need more animal named operators. It's just a fact.
Actually, yeah, why not?
We'll see how this round goes for them, though. They're going back to Arsenal now. This is a bomb site that they won the very first round. They had a good roam on it upstairs in Cache Room, and I feel like that was a big, big part of winning this. If Mouse have a much faster, much more efficient take of that top floor, deny any roam up there or get kills, preferably, but at least pushing them back towards site would be better than nothing at this point.
This is something that Kix was actually mentioning not too long ago. Now, with Clubhouse being so big nowadays, so many areas to drone, you can't even fault the attackers for not being able to gather information over literally everything that's happening in here. And that's why some roamers will be able to seep through the cracks of the drones, because if you drone in too much, you don't have enough time to push. If you don't drone in enough, then suddenly you get flanked and you get shot to bits.
I think it's more the case where time management-wise, you have to expect most of the time the roam's going to be in cache itself, either cache or CCTV, and kind of plan around that and start to get ready for the push as you do it. But of course, Jackal is a big help in making sure you know exactly where they are.
Now, the Vigil will get spotted, so a perfect spot here for Team
Now, this is a case where they could take from those windows as well onto that small little stock room. And in this case, with the top of blue stairs, is a place he can roam and potentially get back to site if he needs to. In fact, that's exactly what he should be doing right now. He's going to continue to try and fight it, but ultimately rotate back to blue. This line, unfortunately, just going to find out exactly that, just confirming he has escaped. And that will save them a little bit of droning, but they are going to contest that generator down in blue still nonetheless. And Hyper instead looking through the crack here, hoping to catch someone off guard and start to open up some of that wall for an angle. They could also try and find an angle onto the back of that minibar if they hold the right spot. And actually, it looks like the defenders have opened up some angles for them.
Now, I'm very confused by the reinforcement there in blue by Renaissance. I would have seen, you know, a side being reinforced and the middle right behind the generator being left open as a rotation, because that rotation hole is very exposed once the attackers move in, and they can even find an angle. You see Zofia vertical having found just a teensy-weensy angle to play with.
Well, time management, not so great, but the upside here is Mouse has actually forced them all pretty much back to site, which is a good position to be in. Yeah, I mean, it's a bummer to fight 5 people, but not having to fight them up in cash room for a good 30 to 45 seconds is a huge improvement here for Mouse. They just need to execute, and they're not really in great positions to do so just yet. They have a lot open, and they're getting ready to push, but you see, there's the pulse, though, of Jigsaw just right around that corner below the master stairs there.
Yeah, Vandal still on the drone, and what is that peak? Yardy will go down. They lose the bandit, and the man advantage will go the way of Mouse Sports. Vertical just moving into the site. He'll get one, but then gets dropped. He can push himself out, and Neptune's just spraying in with the Lion, having detected his opponents. UMAD will get one on the downed Vertical, who did not really push himself back up using his Zofia passive. That's Hyper with one on to UMAD, and Hyper will get the last one on to Reaper Mouse Sports to tie it up 2-2.
Well, they definitely corrected the flaws in their previous attack, were able to figure that out. Droned a lot more effectively, and that time, of course, like I said, Jackal didn't die early, and that was a big game changer for them because it did force the defenders back to site. Droning defenders doesn't always push them back, the roamers I mean, because they can shoot the drone and then hide. You can't shoot the ping. You can't get rid of the ping. Nope. You can't just wipe your feet off and call it a day. You kind of have to push into a much safer position because, I mean, I guess you can bait as well if you really want to try that. But because of that, because of the Jackal surviving and being able to get some tracking going on, force them back to site, and then just all the intel still available for Mouse at that point. You saw the amount of droning, the amount of the Lion EE1D, everything they were doing to try and figure out where those defenders were positioning themselves worked out for the most part in their favor, and they just picked them off one by one by one until they had huge man advantage and then pressed that onto the site. Obviously, time did start ticking down there at the end, but definitely much better time management from Mouse. But that only ties it up here. We are going to see one final defensive round, and it's going to be on cash yet again here. They didn't necessarily have to switch. They could have stuck on Arsenal or could have even played Bed and Jim again, but instead going back to cash, hoping this will be as successful as it was the last time since Arsenal was not. Because this one was a different situation than what we saw with Arsenal, where they were able to, you know, hold cash the first time, and then of course they weren't able to because they were forced off. This time, I don't feel like the Jackal offers as much power to change this defense, because most of the time it was just they were holed up very tightly inside cash, and that was what won them the round. Could see a similar situation this time.
Here, I think Dokkaebi would have been a much better operator to pick. You know, maybe extra grenades as well. Maybe the Finka. Of course, to remind you that Finka now stole the grenades from IQ. She creeped her way in the middle of the night into the Team 6, Team Rainbow barracks and took those grenades off of Miss Bundespolizei. So, not that great of a...
just playing a hot potato from Capital at the end of the day.
And the Thermite before him.
Just pass them around.
Yeah, it has been the worst trade deal in the history of trade deals.
Which of course reminds me now that they did take away the ability to pick up and throw back grenades. That was taken away a little while ago.
Yeah. I watched Pojo Man's List Digest.
Yeah, the throwback from Adam.
Yeah.
That was a throw if I've ever seen one.
Classic Adam.
Yeah, that was...
never change Adam.
Always enjoyable videos. I'm glad to see there was finally a new one out. But nonetheless, here we are. They've got hatches open. They're starting to put some pressure on. They're outside. Again, that wall is soft leading in from the hot tub. I would have recommended reinforcing that, force them to potentially consider using a thermite or have to come in through the windows, because knowing that they're going to be running a sledge every time makes that basically free to get in. And then Hyper has pushed his way in just as aggressively as he did last time. Now, last time we saw him push in, kind of be the point man so he could catch the feet that left the barbed wire coming from the bedroom door into connector. But in this case, hopefully he's going to play it back a little bit further, because last time he took those gunfights a little bit aggressively, and it was a situation that just did not really turn into a lot of kills. We'll see, though. Could play it a little bit smarter this time.
All right, VDOT moving up. As you see, Beastly holding up on the stairs. There is one player below him, so definitely see the push from VDOT to get the kill. There's Hyper coming in from the office. They'll try to contest. All right, VDOT moving up bit by bit. As Beastly's waiting for him, it has been droned out, and I think if I'm Mouse, I just don't even want to contest that. Just fall back and leave the Claymore to do its work.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good point, because having to manually watch those stairs definitely takes one person off of any kind of other flank watch, or in this case, having Beastly do it is a waste of his grenades. I mean, we are going to see Mute try and sneak up on that. He could possibly get over it if he can climb up on the actual stair railing, but that's such a tricky position. He has a C4 he could also use to take out that Claymore, but that's going to make a very loud and obvious noise. VDOT so far has not really been too successful in these roams, unfortunately.
All right, let's see the Schmutz that'll get thrown into the back in just a second. The peek from the bandit on the floor. So you hear the Setme rolling on in from the Maestro. Grenade's going to get thrown into the back as Neptune's still holding from the top. Vertical contesting from the central subroof. He cannot find the ankle just yet. There we go. Hyper gets the kill on to Yardy. That's him out all 9 yards. 5 seconds left on the clock. Diffuser, come in. Mouse Sports, what are you doing? Put that diffuser down on the floor. Vandal will try to do it here, and it should get set by the end of this, but look at the amount of manpower that has been sacrificed. Hyper with one UMAD coming in from the side as Vandal will turn it into a 2v1. Him and Beastly against Jigsaw, and Jigsaw will get shot down. Unfortunately, there was a missing piece in that puzzle.
Well, unfortunately for him, yeah, as you said, a missing piece in that puzzle. The missing piece, though, was just them not taking advantage of the plant having to go down. They needed some explosives at the point. Unfortunately, VDOT, being the roamer, actually was in an unfortunate position, because let's say VDOT hadn't have gone for that roam up the stairs, he would have had a C4 available potentially. Had they been going for that plant desperately through that smoke, and VDOT said, hey, I got a special delivery for you guys, boom, that's the end of it, because they had to stick that plant because they were out of time. And that was, again, a similar situation to what we saw before. This time, Mouse just won it because they won more of their gunfights inside, which really they shouldn't have. I mean, I liked the sledge just standing up on the shelf, but again, just not working out at the end for Renaissance. But they are only down 1 point. They could still bring this back, but this is map number 2. Map number 1 went very cleanly over to Mouse. So far, Renaissance have only gotten one more round this time than they did last map, and Mouse are now switching sides over to defense. Vandal actually going to be switching even more than that over to Pulse. So we'll see if that factors in.
Yeah, we'll see how this one is going to get played. Round number 6, of course, is the big switch between both sides. So we'll be starting off on Church yet again.
Well, and that's something that, if Habana wasn't banned, I would start Cash. But being as it is, you know, might as well take advantage of those extra hatches. In this case, most likely meaning Kitchen is safe, which means you could play a lot more in Arsenal, which is a big deal for teams. Like, once the bomb was introduced, that really hurt this map a lot because the ban phase didn't exist then, and that was a problem for a lot of teams. Now, in this case, you know, ban phase can help rectify that.
Yep, it is definitely a big introduction into the game. I cannot wait to see how this changes things at the end of the U.S. Nationals once we head to the LAN finals.
Now, seeing how that hole is open on that wall right there, that is something that can work against you if they open that kitchen hatch, but as we just talked about, that's unlikely to happen. That means that they can fight from Arsenal much more effectively into Church, which is definitely something they can use, not to mention also fight into the hallway.
Just a quick question here to our observer, Marcio, if we could go back down to the top down into the armory, can we see the start? There we go. All the wall is soft.
Yeah.
the entirety of it.
They're definitely not expecting to deal with anyone
From the
opening
hallway.
up the hallway. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a possibility. Obviously, we mentioned Buck was banned last map. Was not banned this map. Mouse chose to bring Sledge every time, but Renaissance obviously going to bring that Buck just fine. So he can play from the kitchen. Obviously not going to open the hatch, but could still open up a ton of that floor, which he's going to do so right now, and actually going to pressure Vandal on that pulse into actually having to reposition just a little.
Yeah, now you see the hole that is opened up right next to the kitchen hatch. That is to throw up an impact grenade and take it out, and even to throw out a C4 just to be sure. Now, there are no impacts that are available. At least, I don't think Beastly has brought any.
Nope.
There you go.
Ooh, the Montaigne. I didn't even notice from VDOT here pushing the smoke. Actually could work here. The gas going to do a bit more damage. Surprisingly, he's actually winning this fight. VDOT cannot take a lot more damage, and any smoke at this point is probably enough to kill him.
And that's why if you're playing Monty coming into the tunnel, all you have to do is stay in shield position. If you push yourself away from it, you're basically throwing the whole advantage away.
Well, you're supposed to have someone behind you to do the actual shooting. Nice rotate here, and that's unfortunately going to catch MX Reaper off. Drone sees the person who killed him, and he's got a teammate right behind him. So they're ready to trade the trade at this point.
Oh!
Not that they're going to need to.
Vertical with one. Jigsaw will get the kill on Beastly as Hyper takes down Yardy from the side. There's still two players coming in from the freezer as explosives are going to get thrown in here. The Monty will try to fight against the L as only one bullet will land into our Polish operator. Jaeger is still behind to help, and Vertical is maybe getting ready for a jump out. However, the Twitch is moving in from construction.
Well, at this point, you don't even need to jump out. Just let Monty stay there. He's not accomplishing anything.
Vandal just has all the info on this. He'll set up to contest the Twitch in the back. The Monty will come back in. He doesn't know that the Monty's here just yet, but you already see the rotations. You already see the Maestro coming in. In the meantime, the Ella will give information. There's nobody here. They're both going to be pushing up from the site. However, there is no Claymore. Vandal will get one onto UMAD. VDOT will spray in to get the shot onto Vandal, but the Ella has rotated all the way back, and VDOT will have to try and stick this. Here we go. Vertical not even bothering with the knife. It'll be VDOT eliminated, and Mouse Sports to put one more on the board.
Well, that brings them up to a nice 4-2 situation. It's not a win just yet. It's not match point, but it is 1 point away from match point, which means it's 2 points away from winning this. Renaissance are going to have to come back quite a bit. As we said before, if it does get to a 5-5, then that does mean a situation where we will have to play a best-of-3 overtime. And, of course, sides will be random at that point, so it could be a situation that works out for them or against them if they can even make it that far. Cash coming out now as the second bomb site from Mouse. Again, a really good bomb site at the moment. As we saw, that was probably the most successful bomb site for the Renaissance guys. Even when it wasn't their bomb site, it was still the best site for them to defend, or best room for them to defend, rather. Because even when it was Arsenal, that was the best defense that they had. It's just new Cash is definitely strong. Vertical, who's a very good vigil, actually surprisingly going to switch to Jaeger.
Now, if, we've seen Disenchanka play Hyper on the Jaeger, but it doesn't really matter. You can put him on the MPX as well, and he'll be doing quite a bit of work. Now, I'm a big fan, of course, of bringing the Maestro on the set, as I mentioned before, and I'm always curious to see which positions teams will be really showing in their setups with the Evil Eyes.
Yeah, definitely the case where those are very, very useful, as we saw from the defense of Renaissance. Well, I believe we saw Mouse setting up one Evil Eye there just before we cut away. And, I mean, they're very likely to be close to site. This is not necessarily a bomb site where setting up too far away with those Evil Eyes is too useful, but you can potentially use them in garage. You could potentially use them in the connector, the construction room. So there are a few other spots you could use as well. And this stairwell is a new addition to the map in terms of being able to push in and not having to climb a ladder to get up to the catwalk. And the catwalk also has the window now on it, so teams aren't forced to use any kind of explosive to open up a rotation in the garage. So overall, a nice bit of a revamp.
Yeah, it's we've talked about this earlier on in the season as well. These small changes to the map have made it so much better to play. That definitely is for sure.
I like the two-man catwalk approach here because they're so focused on the one that they can see that Hyper's in position. Imagine he's checking his cameras right now, but he's also in a position to sneak up on them when they think they're in the middle of ambushing vertical. They're starting to open up a lot of angles. Surprisingly, they did not reinforce the garage doors. That is one thing you often do as a defender on Cash because it's so useful to deny those alternate angles.
I think the two reinforcements that have been played are set up in the office and construction. That's why they're not being played here. As you mentioned, I like to have at least one of these garage doors that is reinforced, most likely the left-hand side one. MX Reaper, though, has taken control of the area downstairs. This UMAD will try to chuck a grenade up. Unfortunately, it does not connect. Drones as well will get taken out as Hyper has the small angle by the railing to try get a shot on his opponents. Just try to move into the site. Look at that. So much fire being sprayed into Hyper here, but the ADS is still capping as much of the utility out, and that is the second frag grenade removed.
A minute 30 to accomplish nothing except for wasting a lot of grenades and doing a tiny bit of damage to vertical here. Mouse Sports are already winning this round, but at least the fight being won by Yardi, taking down vertical. But like I said, a minute 30 to do this, not great. Not to mention the number of drones that have been lost.
And there's still a Nitrocell available. The shots will get thrown in here as UMAD is just waiting until the Valkyrie moves away. No matter what, he should be able to get this kill, but somehow Hyper is still alive. The C4 will get thrown out as it will not connect with anybody. Door outside is going to get open as Jigsaw will get one. Yardi even with the impact on to Hyper from his lifeline. It leaves it in a 2 versus 5. Renaissance trying to bring this back in here as Neptunes will watch the stairs and he'll get the kill to turn it into a 4v2. Now VDOT will go down. 40 seconds left on the clock. The smoke of Beastly takes a bit of damage, but he'll throw up the canister. Yardi will find the hit though on his Zofia, and connecting will be Beastly. Turn it into a 1 versus 3. Bit of damage still done to Jigsaw, and there you go. He still gets the kill. Final frag on a Beastly. 4-3 scoreline.
Definitely some good play towards the end there. Unfortunately, like we said, spending so much time clearing that garage, but ultimately the rest of the time, at least the other operators doing their job getting into positions, the Thermite especially from Jigsaw, doing a great job that round getting into the right positions and winning the fights that maybe he shouldn't have won, but nonetheless did win. And that's going to give them a little more chance to stay in this here, saving a round that was definitely going downhill fast with a flurry of kills towards the middle. And Cash going to be tried yet again here. This time, the Monty may be coming out from VDOT. Vertical may be going to stick that Vigil this time as well. I did, again, like the play that they had on the catwalk. They did a very good job. Ultimately, the missed shots from Hyper in terms of the angles he was working did kind of cost him his life because they gave extra exposure to that Sledge, who did a good job taking some shots at him, but ultimately not getting the kill. And Vertical instead going to go with the Pulse. But Monty, looking like it could be stuck here from VDOT. We'll see. Got a few more seconds, and he is going to stick it. All right.
So this makes a lot of sense. You want to push Garage. Because there was so much effort from Renaissance to try and push into Garage, they bring the Monty here to make it a bit simpler than before, and maybe this will work again to tie up the scoreline, because last round, even without him, it ended up working.
And if you look at the frag count there, UMAD actually has more than anyone else on Mouse, despite the fact that they are point down, so good on UMAD in terms of doing what he can to at least contribute to his team. Somehow VDOT able to leave a drone just sitting there on top of the bomb. Feels like I'm watching one of those just moments in casual ranked where they're just allowed to stick that right on top of the bomb and no one sees it. But nonetheless, I think they caught it. So good for them. Get that setup going. Some barbed wire. Not too many changes really here on the defense though, but I would like to see what Vertical does on that Pulse. That's going to help things out as opposed to, I believe last time he was on Jaeger. Ooh, all the way down there.
Wow. Okay.
All right, the long flank. He does have those blue stairs to work, though. So that will make it somewhat quick for him to be able to get a Kennel's flank, potentially, or even push into the garage via the lounge. This drone here could actually...
Oh, the camera's going to get spotted. There you go.
Nice. Unfortunate for Hyper. Ooh, the Monty already up at the top of the catwalk window here. They're not even really on site for the most part here. He's to make easy work of those batteries. That is an unfortunate oversight, allowing him to just walk up to that window like that.
Yeah, it seems like Mouse without an extendable shield being put up front here, they can't really get the job done. You see the Monty cannot move in without being detected and contested. Yes, the sledge is coming from the side. He should be able to open up the wall as it was not reinforced. And Jigsaw here, very easy to open up the sidewall. Early on, this is huge advantage for Renaissance with 1:55 on the clock. This is absolutely insane here.
Well, they have not gotten any kills yet. Vertical is sneaking around. Could be a game changer if he's able to get a couple critical kills. He does have Hyper with him as well. They could make this work as they're playing very, again, off-site. They're going to make a little bit of noise opening up something, but that's pretty far enough that that door being open might not be heard. Beastly, however, has taken a lot of damage in the meantime, and he's critical in stalling this out from that push from Thermite. So he needs to stay alive and not overextend himself. The rest of the team needs to start pushing against this attack. However, it has stalled out a little bit with 1:20 left.
Yeah, the Evil Eye that is set at the top of the white stairs will give information to the defenders. You see the Maestro has maneuvered around, still expecting maybe somebody to push him from below. There's a drone that just ran up and gave information of what is on the back site. Cash room, he already will take damage. Just 1, 2, 3 sniffs as well as he has to fall down. The Monty's on the floor, he gets taken out. One gas canister is all it takes and everything stalls out. The C4 will be thrown up, but it does not connect. A lot of damage, though, has been done to Renaissance, and the wide angles are not impossible to deal with here. However, the Ash's position is insane on the rappel. Neptune's with one onto UMAD. Hyper with the second. Cannot find the angle on the Ash. There's two players that are waiting for this. MX Reaper will get one. You need the run out. There you go. Hyper will get one, and Vandal with the second. And all will be done. Renaissance are all on the floor and dead. And Swords will put themselves on map and match point.
Well, unfortunately for Vertical, that round could have been a lot shorter had he triggered his C4 just a little bit earlier, and it's a fortunate bit of timing as you saw him pick up the pulse, but too little too late to actually trigger that pre-placed C4. And that was an unfortunate bit of timing. I mean, I guess at least he didn't just throw it, you know, early in the round with disregard, but nonetheless, that could have been a game ender right there had he been able to get the kill on the planter. But either way, the Monty getting down, like you mentioned, that really turned things around a little bit. And then the run out, of course, was a little bit late, but it better late than never as long as you succeed in getting those kills. And the long roams, ultimately, as I was saying before, paying off in terms of getting the kills. And like you said, map and match point now. Renaissance going to have to win 2 rounds in a row just to stay in this with no guarantee of even getting this map.
Very much the case. And even if Renaissance tied to go into overtime and they win that overtime, they still have a 3rd map to go to.
Definitely not easy.
So we'll see if Mouse Sports will spring the trap or fall into one themselves, as you can sniff the cheese at the end of the tunnel. Ah, it tastes good. It's camembert.
Sitting there for Mouse.
No, it's actually I can't say camembert because it's not US. What's American cheese?
Cheddar.
Cheddar cheese?
Well, there's literally American cheese.
Yeah.
It's called American cheese.
Is it actually cheese?
Yep. Well, cheese product.
All right.
Let's go with that. Let's settle there. Makes a fantastic grilled cheese. But in this case, Renaissance are the ones who are not cooking. They are definitely going to have to find something here because Arsenal was one last time on defense. So far, the only bomb site that's really been a struggle was Cash, which Mouse lost the first time and nearly lost the second time, but did bring back. So Arsenal, they can go to again, and this is something they're going to prefer. Again, because of the operator bans, this does make this a good bomb site. They probably would have gone back to it earlier had they been able to, but of course, with the current site rotation system, for those of you not familiar with it, it means basically as soon as you win a bomb site, you cannot go back to it until you play 2 other defensive rounds.
And that's the thing, play 2 other defensive rounds.
Yeah, I don't mean win, just play 2 other defensive rounds. In this case, that means at most you're going to have to play a 3rd bomb site once. Jackal doing a good job there, and that was a Jackal that was 6th picked, so they might not have been expecting that. So that's going to hurt these roamers who are not expecting to be so easily tracked. So good play by VDOT in terms of 6th picking that and kind of catching them a bit by surprise. But much like when Mouse was playing that Jackal, all that's going to do is force them back to site, assuming they don't get over aggressive. But they could wait until that ping is done to rotate back out and come for a late flank, which is definitely something that would be smart to do if you have enough intel on where all the attackers are. They don't have any extra cameras outside of the Evil Eyes to do that, but they do have a pulse to help with that.
All right. The interesting thing is that the Ella was able to get 2 drones off of it, and you know we often talk about that drone economy as is very important for information game, which is literally half of every single Rainbow Six matchup. So you got to keep that in mind to not really throw away those drones and realize at the end of the round that, hey, we don't have anything to watch. And they're going to be able to spot the player that is playing right behind of the
Can't do anything about it, though.
Yeah, that's the Ella, and she's going to stay there for literally ever. You see the flash is going to get thrown in, but the ADS is ready. An extra smoke as well, as the ADS will catch the Ash charge. And he runs right into Yardy, who takes a lot of damage and gets shut down by Hyper. You see the Evil Eye as well that is set up in here.
Yep.
Allows Hyper to rotate in. Unfortunately, Hyper a bit too aggressive, and he gets tagged by his opponents. Low on health. Was that rotation worth it? I think not.
It'll keep him busy, though, and keep him from being able to push into blue as far as they would like. But unfortunately, that missed C throw, that's going to be a bit more costly than that push from Hyper.
There
He does pick it back up, though. Nice.
Now, Vandal will pick it back up as Hyper is on the floor. Cannot get picked up realistically. C4 in the back does not connect. And Beastly, up to him now to push in and help out his teammates. Maybe he gets tagged as well. The push is going to come in from the other side as Reaper will go in and get the kill on Beastly. What are you doing, Mouse Sports? Literally throwing the game away, and Renaissance are trying to sniff this out as Neptunes will hold down Mouse 1. He'll get the kill on 1 and the second with the help of Vandal. Can he get the third? Now that's Vandal and Neptunes just destroying their opponents of Renaissance, who had all the advantages, yet all is squandered away in the name of a rush. And the rush does not work, and that'll be the end of that.
Unfortunately for them, those 80 bullets in Maestro's gun, yeah, kind of hard to wait till he reloads at that point and try and fight that. Unfortunate, but nonetheless.
One-dimensional with 4 players. They're all pushing Moto. What are you doing?
Yeah. Well, like I said, the pushes in blue were not effective. Hyper wasn't able to stay upright, at least. But the fact that they didn't even necessarily know they downed him, or at least weren't able to make sure they guaranteed the kill, left them in a position where they were not able to actually capitalize on blue, and that forced it to be much more one-dimensional push. So, yeah, you might question why did Hyper do that, but holding it for as long as he did actually forced them into a tougher position on that attack, and ultimately worked out in the advantage of Maestro especially. But either way, it was a tough position to be in against such a tough team.
Yeah, and of course, Mouse Sports will take the win in a 2-0.
Yep.
And that is the scoreline for the end here. It got very close on our final map on Clubhouse.
Yep. 4 rounds total between the two maps for Renaissance. Not terrible against a team as strong as Mouse, but still a loss, unfortunately. And the way this works, there's not some kind of loser's bracket or something you're going to go to. They are just now out of the running.
Yeah, they can play in Stage 2, which will be in a couple of weeks.
Come back later.
Yeah, you come back later, you try to qualify again, and as the season progresses, your chances of qualifying to LAN actually increase if you're a bit of an underdog team.
Yeah,
because
as the good teams kind of get out.
Yeah, the really good but pro-level teams will get their spots earlier on, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But we'll take a look at our replays here as we keep rambling on right over them, as this was our final map.
This was definitely a good series of plays by both teams, but ultimately, in the end, just not a lot of rounds being picked up by the Renaissance guys. Nice. I like that play as well. Through the wall, nice series of shots there. Ultimately had some good information. Unfortunately, that Monty play through the dirt tunnel, it was a bit back and forth. It did lead to him almost getting the plant, though. And this was a round that was definitely too tough for Beastly to be able to hold on to. Did manage to get at least a few kills out of it, but nonetheless, it was a good round for Jigsaw. And there's the run out that ultimately helped save that round for them. Unfortunately, the C4s never really worked out for the Pulse there, Vandal. But there we go, Neptunes.
That spray, everybody just rushes in the one doorway. No one even trying to contest from the central hallway. And unfortunately, that is your downfall. One-dimensional fights do not work. Repeat after me. Clap. Easy clap. One-dimensional fights do not ever work. Play from the back.
Especially with 80 bullets coming at you.
Yes.
Either way, though, nonetheless.
It's like a buzzing bee. It's like a beehive in there.
Good play from Mouse though as well. We don't want to say one team did worse than the other. I think both teams did fairly well, but in this case, I think maybe Renaissance were slightly outclassed by Mouse. But Mouse did have a few rounds. They dropped in some good exploitation of some weaknesses by Renaissance, as well as some interesting play. And I think the bands worked out in making it a little bit more creative in terms of what we saw, meaning we saw more Arsenal than we might normally do. So there's that.
I was very intrigued by the Monty play as well. I have to commend Renaissance. Their push from Garage onto servers once they were attacking cash and servers were real good.
Yeah.
Real good, to say the least. And
Definitely
their
so.
defense, even on Church and Arsenal, were very impressive.
Yeah, overall, I think I see some potential from these guys. It's definitely a case, of course, where, as you said, they can try and get in stage 2 or stage 3 or even the wild card. There's other opportunities for them. But as far as stage 1 is concerned, we now have a winner to go against, one of the winners from last week for the East. So
I believe it is Noble that will be
believe so.
playing against Mouse Sports. And speaking of Mouse Sports, we have an interview lined up, and of course it is our all-American American. It doesn't get more cowboy-y than this. It's Julian Moksas Misuchi. What's up, Julian?
I'm fine, man. It's Mikulci. It's hard. It's a hard name, I know.
Yeah, Mikuc. Is that like a Polish
No,
family name?
it's like a long Hungarian name.
Ah, Hungarian. Oh,
Yeah.
very much so. Okay, well, we look back at this matchup. Coastline was a 6-1 victory for your team, Julian. It was very much in your team's hands. Was there at any point, I assume because you were sitting in communications with them, you were hearing what was going on, was there any point during that first map that you felt that your players were uncomfortable with what was happening on the other end with their opponents?
Oh, well, it's always hard to play against a team that, like, we have no intel on them. We don't know how they play, and like the hardest counter of any pro league team is, I think, the ranked play. If a team just plays however it wants, and like you don't know it from scrims or something, so you always get surprised with some like actions that are not like you're not used to.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I didn't have the feeling that someone like felt uncomfortable.
However, map 2 got a bit too complicated for you guys early on. Your attack on Church was inefficient, to say the least. From listening in, was there anything specific that the team was struggling with to push onto Church? Because the defense, I have to say, from Renaissance was really impeccable. They were able to hold on to Blue and to the Armory very efficiently.
Yeah, I think the problem is, like most of the times now, when we are getting casted, we always have to think about, like, do we want to show our real potential against like teams that maybe are not on our level? So as like hard or as bad it sounds, but next week we have a like huge game against Noble, and Clubhouse is kind of a map that might be potentially be played. So we can't like show everything off, even though like we should have like closed that game much earlier, and like we screwed up some calls and some droning work and something like that, some small mistakes, and these actually lead to the rounds lost. So yeah,
All right,
I guess.
anything you'd like to say though to your fans that were watching this game here?
Yeah, I'm happy that we couldn't draw this time, because normally we draw always. So this time we finally could win. So I hope everyone is happy, and see you next Friday, I guess.
All right, partner, I'll see you down at the rodeo on Sunday. Thank you very much, and good night.
Good night.
Yeah. Well, it is, I mean, it's got to feel bad to be a team to know that they were holding back a little bit, but it's good to know that they recognized there was also some mistakes being made in terms of some of the calls, some of the drone work, things like that. It wasn't just a case of, oh, they just weren't using their top tier stuff. I'm sure there was a case where they were holding back, but also having to use to make sure that they won, because they definitely want to move forward here.
They don't want to show more coming into.
Well, they don't want to end up a third map as well, because then they might have to show some stuff on console that they might not want. So there's a certain line you have to be like, well, we really need to win this as well. And I definitely think we did see at least some good play from Renaissance come out. So
yeah, their big game is next week versus Noble, the East Coast Conference matchup. That'll be, I believe, our first one on the U.S. Nationals next Friday night. So make sure you tune in then for that first matchup. However, that's the end of our first game. It was a 2-0 with a 6-1 scoreline on Coastline, 6-3 scoreline on map 2 Clubhouse between Renaissance and their opponents of Mouse Sports, as you just heard from their coach Morixas. We'll be getting ready, though, for our second matchup of the night. Coming up in just a bit, we'll remind you, if you guys are inspired by these plays, then you can sign up for the remaining stages of the tournament. Stage 1 is done next week, but Stage 2, 3, and after that, the wild card stage. 2 teams will qualify from each and every single one of them for a total of 8 teams to play in the grand finals on LAN. So you want to be crowned, well, we don't want to say crowned because it's the USA, right? You want to be elected. You want to be elected the best team in the USA. Team USA itself, you got to show it. You got to bring it. And we see what you guys have to bring on the table. Reminder, on social media, official hashtag is hashtag R6USN. Make sure you let us know of what you think. We'll be back for second matchup. Going to take a quick break. We'll be back in for the second one. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to our second matchup. The second out of the two, of course, that we have every single U.S. Nationals night. This is, of course, week number 2. I'm Samuel Finch. With me is Devin Emzo Becker, and we are hyped up to continue on the USA trip. As now we head from east to west, and we continue on with our second matchup. It is Deception, which is kind of my middle name as well, but also Space Station Gaming. We'll take a look at their lineup.
These guys you probably recognize Thinking Nade, Rampy, Chala, Shuttle, and Redeemer. These guys have definitely made a name for themselves over time. So a lot of them you may recognize from this team or different teams playing in a lot of different events. And they are definitely a strong team to contend with. Definitely one of the strongest North American teams all around. And I expect good things from them today. Hopefully they won't be holding back anything themselves. Other than
yeah, we'll see how they play out. Because remember that they will still have another game next week, so maybe like Mouse, they won't be showing too much.
You never know.
You never know. Of course, Deception, Space Station's opponents here. And you can tell, Mr. West, Best Cav NA, Hyena, Kevin, and Barracuda. It's really odd that there's West, Best Cav NA, Hyena, Barracuda, and then Kevin.
Yeah, well, Kevin literally, ironically, the only player I actually recognize here from having a past, going all the way back to year 1 of this game. He's kind of an old player, but one who hasn't been around for quite some time. So not sure if he's going to be kind of rusty or if he's going to be ready to do this, but at least he has some experience playing at a professional level. He could bring in. Nonetheless, the rest of these guys definitely kind of coming out in terms of being sort of a team you don't recognize as much as what we saw from the Renaissance guys as well. We didn't recognize where they came from. These guys as well, a mystery, and we heard what Morxus had to say about how that can be a problem for them. You don't really know what's going to go on in terms of how they're going to play. And again, to reiterate what I said earlier, that generally means the team that's the more professional team or the team that's been around longer is going to struggle the first couple of rounds as they try and figure out what they're going to be up against.
Yeah, and there's definitely a lot of things that you can throw into the wheels of your opponents. But before that, we need to take a look at our maps. We play a best-of-3 format, and there are overtimes in this, so keep that in mind. If you tie 5-5, then we'll go into a small best-of-3 to decide who takes the map. But let's put those bands on the board. Remind you, it's Space Station versus Deception. Space Station will start off on the attack on Clubhouse map number 1, so we get to see that again.
Yep.
Then border map number 2, and that's Deception starting off on the attack with Coastline being the potential tiebreaker.
I kind of wish it had been Coastline second, just so we could have compared and contrasted both maps.
Yep.
I mean, I know there's people that be like, I don't want to see the same two maps two times in a row, but at the same time, it's like, this is one play day. It's not a big deal.
And
there's
more
only
often
7
than,
maps.
Yeah, more often than not, it's not just that. It's the fact that you mentioned compare and contrast between not only the same map and different format, but also it's completely different teams. You get to see the sites that are being played by the defense in different ways, by the attackers in different ways. It's a very interesting way to see.
Well, especially with Clubhouse. We mentioned earlier how the operator bans affected the bomb sites being played. There's a chance we could see it a little bit different this time around, depending on how those operator bans go. And it's always going to be interesting for the team that's more established to try and figure out which operator should we be banning against these guys if we don't know how they play. Whereas on the other side, the Deception should have a very good idea, assuming they did their homework, how Space Station Gaming play, and that's where they can be like, well, we know what some of the strong operators are, we can ban those, or much like what Space Station's probably going to have to do, ban ones they just don't want to deal with, period.
Yeah, there's a certain Japanese operator that is very well known to be used by a certain player on Space Station Gaming.
Yeah, I'm assuming you mean Habana, of course, right?
Yeah, of course.
Now, Echo definitely likely to get a ban, although we have seen him play very good Maestro as well. So it's like, hey, you ban one, he's just going to play the other. But either way, make sure to share your thoughts at hashtag R6USN. Let us know what you think. Share the clips, share your ideas, say what you thought about the plays, whatever you want to do. It's Twitter.
Just interact with us.
Just keep it PG.
It's a family show.
For the kids.
It's a family show, of course. Make sure that you use the hashtag again, R6USN for US Nationals. I think it's self-explanatory, right?
I hope so. The R6, I know the most complicated part, right? Because it's you spell out the word rainbow, but then you just use the number 6.
What?
So it's not just RS.
Huh?
What a thinker. But either way, we're done with that. Time to go into the game and watch these guys shoot each other up and see who comes out ahead.
All right, light them up. It is map number 1, Clubhouse, between Space Station Gaming and Deception.
And we, of course, going to go straight into the operator bans just a second as you see the map flight of new Clubhouse. You saw quite a bit of that earlier as well, so those bomb sites should need no introduction outside of maybe Bar, I suppose, which we did not see at all. And
we
no
rarely see
there.
in general.
Yeah, exactly. So there we go. Interesting first ban there. And that's something that I don't think was really a big impact in the last match we just saw, which is Thatcher.
I mean, he was played fairly often by Mouse, though.
But it wasn't the situation where it was like, I don't think that really changed the game so much.
No, not really. Lion will get banned here by Space Station.
Definitely one that was played a bit.
You know, logical ban. So on the defense, I predict the Mira Echo ban.
That is very likely. Although we have seen Maestro also, again, very strong on this map. So there's a chance that Maestro could be taken off the board as well. Well, not as well as in addition to Echo, but I mean instead, rather. We'll see. As this is Deception, hoping to have done their research to think about what is the most effective way to cripple the way that Space Station play on this map and somehow throw them off. Of course, Space Station, hopefully we're thinking the same thing of like, what's the thing that they could do to us the most, and been prepared for that. And Echo is going to be it. Now, the operator, or the player we're talking about is Redeemer in this case. He's a very well-known Echo player, but I think it's ever since the bans came out, everyone expects a ban of Echo. In this case, Redeemer's not going to be good anymore. He plays a fairly good Maestro as well. So he seems to have just switched up which site anchor he's going to play. And of course, because of the bans not going against Habana, like we mentioned earlier, the Cache is going to be the starting site, which makes sense. And we're going to see, I think, the first Capitao of the night, assuming he sticks that. Should be interesting.
Now we'll go into 6-big phase. I mean, we've been seeing quite a bit of Capitao play in general. I mean, the fact that the crossbow bolts go through the Jaeger ADS is obviously a huge boon to that operator.
Of course, they don't want to show it to you just yet.
Oh, God.
Thanks, Chala.
Yeah. If we get to interview Chala at the end, I'm
like, what were you thinking with that 6-pick,
I'm going to
Chala?
give him a piece of my mind.
Hopefully, you'll still have some left after that.
Not much. Not much.
Either way, though, interesting that they'll be playing with a castle, and that's something that we talk about is more useful for the gym bedroom site. It's interesting to see what Barracuda is planning to do. He's, of course, going to close up one of the windows that is normally problematic to deal with, which is the one that exposes the CCTV server room, and rotate down. So he's going to go set up some castle barricades elsewhere, although barbed wire, never mind, on the stairs. Be interested to see where those come up. He's got to get those reinforcements. We talked about those reinforcements on the garage doors, how important they are. They're actually going to use a mute jammer to seal those. Now, the advantage of playing mute versus bandit means he can potentially jam a bit more than mute can battery, although he's still calling for the wall to be reinforced. This deployable shield is interesting, something we have seen before, to be able to play a bit more aggressively against that door.
Oh no!
Way too late!
What are you doing? The reinforcement is way too late, and the best Cav NA, unfortunately not playing the real operator that is needed here. Jaeger will get shot down. That is way too slow, and now that entire setup with the shield included are wasted.
And I even saw the ping on it earlier. They called out for it. That's a bit of a sloppy start, as they probably should have known better. And this is why you do dry runs. Dry runs are where you practice your setup. You actually run through in a custom game and practice them because the timing is important. And now you all see why that timing is important, because you can't do that, especially when Shuttle says, hey, how's it going in that garage there with that Buck skeleton key?
Now, I'll remind you, our observer is Marcio. He's been known to do a thing or two outside of the U.S. Nationals.
He's been known to observe.
Yeah, he can spot things, see them with his eyes.
Well, in this case, spotting the open castle barricade here, the grenade, unfortunately, going to hit that ADS, but now they know that ADS is on the backside there. They could potentially throw in some flash to take that, as he's still going to have one more grenade to use, and they are trying to figure out how to, no, looks like they might have cleared the mute jammer. Nope, still there. They need to get rid of that. Thatcher has been banned, so they don't have an easy job getting rid of that, but they can take out those ADSs, lob a grenade over to the other side, and that will likely hit the jammer. Barracuda, in the meantime, taking down Shuttle.
Yeah, that's the refract for what happened before on to the Jaeger. However, you see the castle is fairly low on health. The Maestro is holding off from construction, so he can contest in case his opponents on the attacking side get a bit too greedy.
Well, they are nearly shooting each other, stacked up a bit heavy coming up those stairs. And we have Castle actually rotating downstairs, presently. There goes the Mute Jammer and Redeemer ready to hit the trigger. Fortunately, that creep up from the smoke just leading to his untimely demise.
Yeah, not sure about why the smoke was moving up to the wall. Does he think he was a mute?
He had to have seen the shot come down onto the Mute Jammer to know that there was someone watching that angle, but you know, this is their first time on the big screen here. Might just be a little bit of nerves.
Rampy coming in from the side as Kevin hits it from construction to turn it into a 3v3 equilibrium in terms of health as well, but the diffuser will get set. The softball will get used by the Maestro to spray right into it. Barracuda. Oh boy, he's changed his name into a shark at this point, not a Barracuda. He's
sneaking up.
Yeah, sneaking up, moving bit by bit from the oil pit. Is there a Claymore to hold him off? That is the big question. Redeemer get the info on the MP5. Of course, that is the mute in the back who will get down. And there we go. We get the spot. Chala gets the kill. Now it's all up to Kevin, who cannot even reload his LMG. He's got 14 rounds in the magazine, and the Thermite is playing games. Deacon at the end. No, he'll get the down. Kevin with 2 bullets left in the mag. Chala with the RG-15 finishes off Kevin. And that is round number 1, handily in the hands of Space Station Gaming. Now, this is a site and a map in general that favors the defense, so every round that you get on the attacking side definitely helps out.
Yep. Well, in this case, Kevin should probably take the Z out of his name because he was Kevin 3K that round. Unfortunately, 3K is about all you can get out of those 80 bullets before you have to reload, so definitely a tough situation for him to be in, having to deal with the reload, situation. He probably should have reloaded a little bit earlier, but the fact that he was able to get as many kills as he was, still fairly impressive. As I mentioned, he is the one with professional experience, but it does go pretty far back. So, not sure how relevant that's going to be in the current meta, but they are going to try cash yet again, as the attack win means they get to keep trying it until they win a defense or run out of defensive rounds. Space Station, though, with a good start, they held a lot of those angles very well, but Kevin was at least able to counter a few of them. He's also going to play the Maestro again. See if he's a little more effective earlier in the round this time.
Alrighty, Chala will yet again be bringing the Dokkaebi. So maybe this time, if Deception want to run a similar defense, we'll see them reinforcing those garage doors a bit earlier, because that was really their downfall. Otherwise, they had a pretty good shot at actually taking...
I like how it's the first wall they reinforced this time.
Yeah. Good. Learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We need this one, guys. Trust me. I've learned the hard way. You need it.
And this is one of the greatest parts of having nationals like this, is that, it's a similar thing in every single national tournament that we have around in Rainbow Six, is that teams get to really learn from their mistakes firsthand, and maybe later on as we advance in the tournament, we won't be seeing those mistakes repeated again. And you see Space Station look at the garage door, like, okay, we're not going to be able to bamboozle our opponents again. And best Cav and A on the Jaeger here. He's playing in the downstairs.
Ooh, a little bit of damage to the feet of Thinking Aid. Not a huge amount, but that's still going to make him potentially have to retie his shoes. There's the jukebox shot. Finally, that Jaeger just standing right there, almost catching it, sticks the elbow out. Unfortunately, the timing not in Thinking Aid's favor, just like with the shots earlier. Nice
Shuttle.
long range buck.
Yeah, that's a long arm here for the Skeleton Key, but still he gets the shot on Hyena. And that's the great elimination. Thinking Nade with the grenade. And the Jaeger has got to be worrying about grenades now. Rampy coming in from the garage. Won't be pushing in just yet as the call will come on in. Shuttle holding Stockroom is Rampy. The opposite angle, just peeking in instantly from the garage, getting the kill on Barracuda. This is systematic destruction from Space Station.
At this point, Chala could find one of those phones potentially as well and turn those evil eyes against them.
That is a very good point, and well, you see the drone in from the Buck that'll give information into Space Station's hands as the last two Deception move onto the site. Chala, though, finding the angle on to east or west, and it's Kevin that'll get one, but we'll get Refract. Thinking Nade will get the last kill.
Good trade. Kevin, again, in a clutch situation. Did get the kill at least, but unfortunately dying at the same time means you lose the round. So nice attempt there. It was funny too because I don't think Kevin realized, but he actually just barely missed the sledgehammer sticking up a Thinking Nade. I always like to think of it like a little shark fin that you see coming up the stairs sometimes. You see like a crouched sledge, right? Right as he crept across the window, you could see that little fin just sticking up. And that's the one disadvantage of Sledge versus Buck is you have that little tail coming up as you creep around. But either way, they're going to give up on Cash as they have lost it twice now, and they're going to rotate all the way down to Arsenal, which I'm not sure, if that's necessarily the best second, but if you don't have a really solid gym bedroom, probably a good idea. Barracuda getting a 6th pick over to that Pulse, and looks like no 6 picks coming out from Space Station. I always like to point this out because I think over time those will become more relevant. Those won't necessarily always be a big game changer, but at the same time, as we pay attention to those, as we see those trends, you'll be able to get a better idea how you should be using those when it's relevant, when they've made the right choice. So that's why maybe give them a little bit more attention than they sometimes deserve.
All right, we'll head down into church as I'm interested to see how Deceptions set this one up, because in our first matchup, we saw Renaissance really playing it in a very efficient way, and I wonder if Deception can actually repeat this in round number 3. Of course, you are playing on the defense, so you don't really want to give the attackers more than 1 or 2 rounds because this is a defensive-sided map, especially with the current map design.
Interesting. Kevin setting up reinforcements upstairs in the cash room. Now, we have seen more of the 3-speed operators be willing to play up in the cash room and try and hold it, but having a Maestro up there seems like a big risk. Thankfully, it is not going to be him staying up there. Might have been setting up something for a teammate, but does not look like that's going to pay off. So that is one reinforcement, I guess, wasted in this case.
Okay. See Rampy opening up the front porch. It'll move in from the lobby. And even though there's a no guns allowed sign at the front desk, I believe Rampy does not give a damn about that.
Well, there's 5 people downstairs who could hopefully enforce that. Fortunately for them, they are not doing a whole lot just yet. They have Barracuda on the pulse. He is able to check a little bit in the dirt tunnel as well as be able to watch an Arsenal. But they do have to worry about hatch being open. In this case, because they ran with just a thermite, though, very unlikely that we will see that garage hatch get opened. More likely we'll see just the bar and the stock, or the usual attack strats here. They are going to have Buck and a Sledge, though, so a lot of floor going to get destroyed as well as walls.
Yeah, this is definitely something that we haven't seen a ton of nowadays.
It's like having a double hard breacher. I mean, the redundancy can be helpful, and, well, you get 4 grenades.
It's a lot.
That's always nice, especially since Jaeger can only stop so many.
Oh, see the exothermic charge that is set in the bar. We'll take down the hatch leading into Moto, and Redeemer will watch the angle as his teammates might just be dropping in. He'll spot the Jaeger, but the drones are shot to bits. Unfortunate. Flash will get thrown in to burn the ADSs, and there we go. That's at least one of them that has just been burned. Rampy coming in around the side or from the main hallway. Thinking Nade back on his drone. You see there's a there's an evil eye from the Maestro all the way at the end of the hallway here from the armory, and it gives information right onto it. There you go. You see it right there, and it leads all the way to the other side of the hallway. And that it has unlimited range, but Redeemer has unlimited range and unlimited skill here to get the kill on West.
Well, Execute coming out here. They're starting to push in church. Thinking Nade gets a second.
Hyena will get the kill on Chalice. The C4 will miss. Kevin with one, Rampy with the second. The diffuser should get set down here by the Thermite as Rampy wins one. Hyena gets one on Shuttle, but it is a trade as Shuttle will get the kill on the low health Hyena. And guess who's laughing now?
Rampy. In this case, though, we'll see what they want to do. Are they going to stick Arsenal, or are they going to switch bomb sites again? They can go back to cash after this next round, but not this time. So it does look like, I'm assuming they probably don't have a very good bedroom gym defense that they're feeling especially strong on. So Arsenal going to be where they go yet again. Same lineup pretty much coming out here from Space Station because, well, with an attack like that, doesn't really seem like they need to change up much. Yeah, they could change up which hard breacher if they want to open more hatches, but it doesn't seem like they care too much. And a shout out from Kevin to one of his old teammates back in the Pro League days. And it's always nice to see them remember each other. You may actually remember, for those of you familiar with Fox, Kevin and Fox did play together in year one.
Who's Fox?
He's this one animal, but
what does he say?
You know what? I believe if you go on YouTube, you can find an instructional video on that.
I'm sure we will.
Either way, though, they're going to try again on the basement, see if they can do something a little bit different this time. Kevin actually opening up some of the floor. We see him doing a lot of these setups, but not necessarily doing anything with those setups. We're not seeing any special roam operators coming from Deception that would make us believe a roam would be a good idea, especially, you know, not a Vigil or any really significant 3-speed operators outside of, you know, you've of course got the 3-speed of Jaeger who could go for the roam. Just, again, nothing really special to say roaming is our thing. It almost seems like Kevin's just kind of messing with them by throwing some things in there, but SSG are droning just fine for that, to not really be fooled. I mean, maybe they need a Vigil just to make them think they're going to be playing elsewhere.
We'll see.
Oh, that's it.
It happens to the pros. It even happens to the pros. It's all right. So, Thinking Nades will drop into the construction room. Rampy moving in through the lobby as he comes into the rear stage, into the bar, and takes control of the jukebox, which is the first thing you destroy because you don't like music.
Of course. I mean, it is nice to have a good rock soundtrack.
It's not
while
country.
You play the round. No,
it's not country. It's the U.S. Nationals. There's no country music being played.
I do hope that you realize there are more genres of music than that.
Okay.
Either way, though, this is not. I don't believe this bar is set in the U.S. either. Anyway, so.
No, this is Germany.
Yeah, so we'll see.
They don't know anything about good music.
Well, no comment. But they have not opened the bar hatch yet. So they are a little bit slow in this in terms of it being already a minute 40. And the C4 actually almost getting Shuttle there. Did a little bit of damage to him. Nice attempt coming out from Barracuda. Fortunately cannot land it. There was a Thinking Nade spotting that Maestro cam you were talking about before, the Evil Eye, down at the end of that hallway. So they know about it now. Unfortunately, as you mentioned, he cannot throw that sledgehammer at it. So they are going to have to find a different way to take it out. Rampy could be the one to take it out as he was fighting the hallway last time. So they might be calling it out for him. Shuttle is going to have to think about what to do with the little health he has left.
And of course, with the C4 that has been expended, that is literally all the big explosives that are available on Deception's side. Chal is still looking in for an angle. He has not used a single one of his calls, so those are definitely in his back pocket if need be.
I think he's just worried about paying for the minutes. They are going to start to grenade down here. Hopefully they've cleared those ADSs. Rampy actually pushing around from blue is going to find someone ready to fight on that blue angle. He's going to, unfortunately the timing just not working out for him. It's a peak fest as neither of them are able to hit each other. But that's a good distraction while everyone else pushes and Hyena gets the initial kill on Chala.
Oh, there we go, moving away on the Zofia. Rampy somehow still alive as the buck will run right on in. Hyena using the impact. Unfortunately, it doesn't really do much. Kevin's with one, but you see this flurry of kills, a 1-to-1 trade here between Shuttle and the best Cav NA in the 2v2 yet again. Close in this round as Rampy is low on health. Redeemer comes in and get the kill on our best Cav North America. Last alive is Barracuda, and more like Tuna at the end of this round. Gets taken out.
Well, either way, he's putting up a good effort. Unfortunately, too little too late, too few kills.
He'll be swimming with the fishes.
That's why we had that shark fin earlier. Well, either way, though, it is looking very similar to what we saw last matchup, where we saw the first 4 rounds in a row go over to the more well-known team. In this case, we're seeing the same thing here. But, even contesting within them, which bomb site should we play? You realized, oh wait guys, we don't have to play Gym Bedroom. We've waited long enough, we could play Cash again.
Yeah.
So they are going to do that for what is, unfortunately, quite possibly their last bomb site to play.
We'll see the last huzzah as this is round number 5. So after this, we'll see Space Station on the defense. And this is a map that is notoriously defense-sided.
Chala. Tricking us. Either way.
Cease your trickery.
Either way, he's still switching up an operator to one he has not been playing so far. So that's, you know, keeping it spicy. Barracuda going to switch up as well to Castle at the very last second. Let's hope they can get around here. Otherwise, they're going to be going into side switch on map point already. Not a good place to be.
Yeah, and of course, that'll be 1 out of the 3 maps. The end of it. Still not there just yet.
Well, yeah, either way, we'll see border for sure, but coastline, at the moment, looking less likely.
Very much so. We'll get to see in map 2. Now, that evolves as we're still not even done with the first one. We're getting ahead of ourselves because we're so excited to see how this match moves on. They've been very interesting tries from Deception, but Space Station's experience really winning things out for them in this, and we'll see the same style of defense that is set up again in the castle barricade is set on the main doorway of the garage. Unfortunately, that can be instantly taken down by Rampy on the Zolf.
Yeah.
Even the sledge. Yeah,
even the sledge. I think he could just walk up and hit it, assuming he doesn't miss that hammer. Either way, Chala going to call out for potentially Rampy or Thinking Aid to open up that castle barricade for him, which should be an easy thing to do. We could even see him just rappel upside down and smack it open, which is the safer way to do it in this case. Looks like he's going to adjust though. And they decided to take Jim first, which is a smart idea to secure that because you want to secure the stairs. We've seen that before where they take the bedroom site, secure the stairs, make sure that they watch the way down, maybe even claymore it. So they're in a good situation to be able to make sure roamers aren't going to be problems as they rotate up. But Chala already taking down Kevin. A great initial kill. That means those evil eyes are now going to be a little less useful. They're still going to be visible to see through and ping through, but they cannot rotate it. They cannot zap with it. We'll see. So now keep in mind the winner of this match will be facing off against Disrupt. Ooh, Chala. Unfortunate.
Unfortunate on the run out. Will get the kill on the Jackal. The Maestro exchanges Barracuda, taking a lot of damage in the engagement against the Buck, and he'll have to fall back. Redeemer, his drone at least will get tagged a bit by the Mute Jammer, but still not taken out. You see the gas canister has already been used by Deception, which means there's little equipment left on their side with 1:25 on the clock.
C4 at least, as well as an impact nade, and a jump out ready. Could happen here.
Yeah, he's got Hyena as well to help him from below, but you see the Buck that is just waiting for somebody to push into the stock room. Shuttle moving up and peeking against him. No, he drops from below. He's going to try to push the angle from behind, using the open hash to his advantage. The flash will get thrown right on in as West will get shot down. Shuttle from behind, though, peeks in, and they're trying to push the player up from his position. There you go. Barracuda is going to be swimming with the fishes, sleeping with the fishes, as the best Cabernet gets shot down by Shuttle, and I have to commend Shuttle in that round. So smart, using the hatch to his advantage, moving down and rotating up through the blue stairs, will get the last 2 kills.
Well, that does bring us to map point here. As we said, they will guarantee going to border, but at this point, it's looking like we're going to see border sooner than later. Of course, the side switch does mean different strategies. It does mean the possibility we could see a bit of a comeback from Deception, in the case that maybe they're just a little bit better on attack than they were on defense. We'll see where SSG are going to go for cash first. And if they're going to bring anything spicy, I mentioned earlier about Redeemer on Echo and Maestro. He is, of course, going to be playing that Maestro. So not a huge surprise there. We'll see what they're going to do with the rest of their defense. That castle we did see come out as well from the Deception boys. We'll probably see a somewhat similar strategy of at least castling the one window, because it is definitely one that you don't want to open, because it offers a lot of sight lines into various areas where you want to be hiding on the actual bomb itself. no 6 picks that look like coming out from either team.
No. And we'll see Deception bringing out the Ash. So there's double, even triple soft destruction. They'll even be bringing the Dokkaebi to help out with the calls. And of course, they will have the Thermite. You need that hard destructor, so it obviously makes a lot of sense. Now, Space Station are setting up with a Bandit as well, so they're going to have to rely a bit on Thinking Nade.
Who's thinking for sure at this moment.
Yeah, thunking for sure.
He is pondering so hard right now, he can't move. Fortunate.
It's like you have an aneurysm because you're thinking too much.
Let's hope that's not the case. He is moving now, though, so not sure if he was just making some callouts or something. Probably. I was just a little worried he might have got disconnected there. Thankfully, that not being the case. They will continue with this round. They've got some good ADSs set up here. As you saw, 2 of them stacked up on the corner of that catwalk to help Redeemer stay alive up there if he's going to try and play that angle. With 80 bullets, you could do a lot of pre-firing of that door, which makes it very useful up there, not to mention an ACOG for the long angle, so I like the idea. Plus, he could tank quite a few shots, especially if he goes prone, because you could take a lot of damage. Feet first prone is a 3 armor. We'll see, though. They are starting to push in at least to stock and lounge area, try and take control of the bottom of the garage as best as possible from a different angle, rather than pushing in through the open doorway. So I like the idea there that they want to clear that a little bit better, make sure no flanks coming out on them.
Barracuda peeking as well from the stairs. There's nobody can test him from there, but there is one above. That is Rampy here. He does have a bulletproof camera that was deployed, but Redeemer and Shala just holding off in the garage, and you know, even with 2 soft destructors, not really look to do much. Oh. Shala, what a headshot! Bascav and A dead on the floor. The call will come in to get info on Thinking Nade's position, but you know what? You're expecting somebody on the eastern stairs, and he's going to fall back. Rampy, in the meantime, from above the opened up holes will find the kills. Huge advantage in the way of Space Station. Have taken no damage whatsoever. A minute 30 left on the clock. Kevins will get 1, but is Chala to rotate in from blue, and he can get a spot here on his opponents. There is a Claymore, and it will get shot down. He moves in very quickly and finds the headshot on to Hyena. Now still 4v2, big man advantage for Space Station, as the Dokkaebi will drop below. I'm not sure if that was intentional or not, so I think they are afraid of the potential Jaeger. It's very important here for Deception to get this round. If not, they are at a big loss, 6-0. At the end of this first map in this best of 3 series, and there you go, it gets closer. Kevins will try to fight against Shuttle, who comes in with the shotgun and cleans it up. There you go, Hyena even giving a bit of an appraisal to his opponents. You know, Space Station are so good, maybe they should go pro. Yeah, I think it's a good recommendation.
A 6-0, definitely. I mean, obviously, there's still one more map to go. It could be a case where we see Deception deceivingly, you know, doing poorly on this map and well on the second one, but you never know. I mean, I'm not going to put money on that, unfortunately, because it's definitely the case where Space Station are very, very strong. Kevin, though, the one bringing that experience, definitely paying off. 7 kills. I think that was probably more than all the rest of his team combined, unfortunately. That's a tough situation to be in, but at least we know he's pulling his weight. Either way, we will be heading to Border soon.
Yeah.
Ish.
Soonish. So we'll recap that map because, I mean, it's a bit difficult to recap a 6-0. Yeah. We'll start off with the very first round.
One recap per round, I guess.
Well, yeah, recap per round. I guess you come in, the garage door was not reinforced. It wasn't on time. The Buck just rushes in and destroys that doorway, gets the kill. There's a refrag after it for a 4-4, but then it's just not enough from Deception and its Space Station to take the game. We'll take a look at the replays here to remind you of the highlights of our matches match in here.
Yeah, this was definitely a nice attempt on the Arsenal. There was I liked that they at least tried to do the bomb sites a couple times to see if they could maybe make them work. Unfortunately, they just never really found a round to. That was a nice push from Shuttle there. I like the impact nade come out. It was a good attempt, and you see him kind of spinning around a little bit, trying to do a nice move, but unfortunately that just made his position that much more obvious. And Shuttle really, as you mentioned before, doing a great job that round with a very smart rotation.
Yeah, rotated through the hatch, dropped down from the stock, and contested from there against his opponents. Nobody really expecting him to come around from the side, and he gets free kills basically off of that, even contesting into the stairs with the help of the Zofia throwing it right into the back of the Legion there. Unfortunate, as they say.
Well, either way, Border is a different map, and there's a chance we could see some good strats coming up from there. I believe it'll be flipped around in who's starting attack and defense, though, so SSG should be on defense first on Border.
It is the attack first here for Deception.
Yeah, so that should be interesting to see in terms of having those defensive rounds. And the reason I say that because we do the 5-round system where we saw 5 rounds in a row come out in attack's favor for Space Station. If we set something similar on the next map, of course, that would be in favor of Deception, but you never know. Either way, though, tell us what you think. Hashtag R6N, or R6USN. Too many letters. 5 letters.
Too many letters here.
So
Someone
hard.
who lives in Poland.
It's Twitter. 5 letters is a lot.
Actually, it's very true. You have a limit, right?
Yeah.
Got to be careful, so make sure you tweet at us with your thoughts and your observations. Very keen people out there in chat. I'm watching.
Yeah.
Hashtag R6USN on Twitter. Excited to see. We've already been seeing some pretty interesting interactions, as even the man himself, Justin Kruger, has tweeted out that he loves the desk. Well, the desk loves you back, Justin.
Absolutely. It is a fine one. I mean, look at this. All this graphic.
Look at this. Look at this fine piece of upholstery.
I'll have to see if Fox let me borrow one of his jackets.
I think, I think you can go and borrow literally any old lady's chair and just get the fabric off of it. I think that'll make a decent enough jacket, similar to what Fox wears here and there.
I love the Fox. He's definitely the topic of it. But nonetheless, we are ready to get into it. So Border, here it comes for what could be the last map of the night, depending on Deception.
All right. Let's see how this one plays. Again, Deception versus Space Station Gaming. And Space Station are up 1-0 in game number 2, the Western Conference, the United States Nationals.
Yep. Will they be the best in the West? That's what we'll find out, of course. And as we mentioned earlier, the winner of this will face off against Disrupt, who had a very good game last week. So it is definitely going to be a tough fight. So even if Deception somehow managed to come out ahead on this, it is not going to be an easy fight next week. We'll see how the banding goes, though, as it starts with Lion. And that is a good one from SSG.
You ain't lying, my friend.
That's right. Telling them truths. We'll see what Deception want to go with, though. Again, it's a case where they're going to want to think of what is their weakness. In this case, Glass is something they do not want to deal with. And again, these are per map. It's not just per team. It's also something you have to think about on a per map basis.
Yeah, because they affect the entirety of it, obviously, from start to finish. So.
And they, of course, affect you as well. Pulse, interesting. Spicy choice. We have seen that quite a bit on Border, mostly for the Armory Lockers defense to stop Pulse from playing down below. I'm not sure that it always warrants a ban, though, just because I feel like it's not the strongest thing on it, but it saves you from having to clear down below a bit. It also makes it easier for you to take out the batteries, but we'll see if that becomes a problem or not.
Unfortunately, no calf ban, so Kavera can be played.
We'll see if Kevin's going to play that role as he's calling out for the ban on it. So now he's left to his own devices. Now Space Station, interestingly enough, going to start on ventilation.
And that is a perfect spot to have the Echo.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
All right, see Redeemer showing the Maestro here. Will he switch away to the Echo? Ventilation Workshop, again, a fantastic site for the Echo. You give Redeemer 2 Yokais.
Yeah, don't do that. Take one away.
Yeah, just, there you go.
Ooh, Hyena switching up in the last second. Same with Rampy. Some interesting 6 picks that
You
might
need the
work better.
capsule, though, on here, right? Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think Hyena switching to that is assuming they're going to be attacking top floor.
I mean, we've seen the Fuse style plays with the Ying.
Oh, I'm not saying it's going to be useless. I'm saying when you pick that, you're generally expecting to be pushing into lockers with that.
Oh, very good point. Very good point, my friend.
We'll see, though. They can adapt to it. They can use it. It can help a little bit with pushing some of these other areas. But the problem is the size of the room in the ventilation workshop is so big. Maybe you could use it to push into the B site ventilation itself. But overall, you're not going to get a lot of bang for your buck unless you really spread those candelas out. And flashbangs are not always guaranteed to hit someone depending on how they're looking. So going to be tricky to make that happen, assuming he lives long enough to get to the site and make those plays.
And we'll see Shuttle setting up as well on the Valkyrie. And already has set up 2 of his cameras. Come in, take down the TVs, and here we go. We'll have an extra bit of eyes in CCTV. So, still a big part of the defense downstairs is to take control of the top stairs. 101 of anything in Siege, no matter the map.
Yeah.
You have to have some sort of hold on the top stairs, and Armory / office is an important part of it. CCTV will be the entry, but Rampy will find the entry kill on the Buck. That reduces the potential offensive capabilities of... Oh, was that a wallbang? Oh,
yeah, he was opening up the wall, and they just took a shot at him. Interesting note as well, when we saw Hyena shoot out the camera, it was activated, which means their 6th pick was revealed. They know Ying's coming. So it's one of those small things, right? Because as I mentioned earlier, the defenders get droned out, but the attackers can only get spotted pretty much initially by those cameras. So it is unfortunate to have your little surprise revealed so early. And they're going to take pretty quick control of offices to kind of make up for their loss of the Buck.
We'll see the best Cav and A on the Ash rotating in from the balcony, and instantly the office will get taken here. Shuttle will get flashed by the Candelas, but he does have support in the back. Hyena taking a lot of damage as he keeps on the spray with a T95. Unfortunately, cannot find the angle on Rampy, who's put on top of the office. A trade, a 1-to-1. The Ash will get 1, and that's the MPX to get the 2nd, but Kevin will find the kill. Redeemer playing even with the pistol in hand. You see the shotgun, just shell after shell into the archives. Shot from Rampy. What a beautiful bit of play here, even using the angled grip on his UMP will make his ADS time. No, that isn't even an angled grip. Oh my god, that is just fantastic bit of a combination of pre-fire and just straight up gun skills up close.
Well, now that's going to force a little bit of them to be trapped in the site, but Kevin again, the one to have to clutch things to kill from Rampy.
Gonna have to walk on into the site now. He's got 2 EMP grenades, and unfortunately EMP grenades do not destroy reinforcements.
Fun to see Redeemer running the Caritas.
Yeah, I think he wants to get, you know, a highlight shot here and there. Maybe he can get that done.
Good job, Smoke.
Yeah, smoke your own teammates.
Well, you know, when you've got the extra manpower left.
The Alda spraying into the side of Thinking Nade has had enough. He peeks in, gets the last kill. And look at that. Look at that. Oh, styling! Styling!
Kevin, unfortunately, not a big fan of that.
Oh my god, got styled on.
I'm still waiting for Kevin to tell us that his name is Kevin, like he used to. It's unfortunate. So, either way though, first round down for Deception. They are now going to have to try and make up even more to make sure this doesn't become a 6-0 yet again. Hyena this time not 6-picking it, maybe 6-picking off of it. Switch things around. Hopefully Barracuda will be able to do a little more with his Skeleton Key this time, not get killed right away. Of course, they cannot go to vents again, so they're going to go to Armory Lockers, which is generally the primary, if not the secondary site. But Barracuda actually the one to switch. He's going to be switching over at the last second and leaving that Ying on the board, which, again, I think makes more sense for this site, which they know is going to be the site. So that seems like the smart play there. But unfortunately, in the meantime, you do reveal it. Not that they didn't accidentally kind of reveal that last round, that was part of their strategy. Surprisingly, though, no real smoke operators to go with it. So it seems like a little bit of a gap. I mean, I guess that can work a little bit to your advantage in the sense that you can see as well going to the site, hopefully. But smokes do tend to help with that, because then you could turn the blindness into further blindness from smokes, cutting off line of sights, and then get a plant down. Deemer actually sticking a fairly aggressive deployable shield up there, along with a slightly tucked away Evil Eye, but that's going to be covered up just a little bit by the shelving there.
Yeah, you see, you mentioned it in the round before, the Keratos being used, the laser camera of Maestro, the Evil Eye, will get placed up top, and that is a great position to have it up in the archives. We see Redeemer is going to play behind the shield with a Bandit Battery, and I wonder if you have a shield that has contact with a wall that is Bandit Battery, does it transfer onto the shield, Devin?
No, it will only transfer onto one thing at a time. So it's definitely a case where it will basically just go on the one thing that you put it on. You can't connect it between walls or anything. It is unfortunate though that they don't have a system where the batteries can jump between metal surfaces. That would be pretty cool if you touched metal surfaces and they were able to transfer. But alas, at the moment, I do not believe, unless there was some interesting bug that caused that, it is not something that you will see.
It's a feature.
Yeah, hopefully down the line they have some more gadget interactions like that, because that is, the batteries themselves, the way they interact with various gadgets, definitely one of my favorite interactions here. And luckily, Barracuda realizing quickly that the Evil Eye was not necessarily his target. In this case, though, he tries to get the ADS, which will definitely help with those Candelas, but looking like he's having trouble with the bars. But in the meantime, a kill on the shuttle. Hopefully he got all of his black eyes up in the meantime.
Yeah, the Ash finding the angle here, the rotation from the stairs. Barracuda is downstairs, which as you saw on the IQ, detecting any battery equipment that was set, and there you go. The instant they switch around to the camera, it lights up blue, and that is one of the Evil Eyes, or the black eyes, that'll get shot down.
The timing from Chala, unfortunate.
We still have Rampy in control of the office, and Redeemer is trying to take down any drones that are being thrown in by the attackers to gauge the site. The EMP will disable that Evil Eye for just a bit. Thinking Nade will get flashed out here by the Candelas. As Hyena will get shot down by Redeemer in the back, spraying in with the Alda. He's trying to find the angle, but Barracuda coming in from the back. Unfortunately, there is nobody to help him from here, but Chala has rotated back up to the site. We'll get one. Thinking Nade will get fragged up again against Mr. West. That's a 2v2, not turning into 2v1. Diffuser's not set on the floor, but the amount of time that is on that board. So easy. Best Cap NA peeks in with the Ash, finds the headshot, and that is Chala that is down.
Well, that does make it so far 6 attack rounds in a row. In this case, finally a round for Deception, their first round of the night that they win, thanks to some aggressive play. But we will go back to lockers again. In this case, though, I do feel like it was pretty good. I'm sorry, not 5 attack rounds in a row. Was it? Yes. Okay, I do have that right. Tripping myself up there.
Tripping? It's another player.
Another player, yeah. So let's see how this round goes for them on lockers yet again. I do feel like that was a pretty close one, though. It definitely came down to, unfortunately, you saw, for example, the Maestro Redeemer having to reload in that case, and he just decided to pull out the Caritas, and that was the wrong choice at that moment, unfortunately.
Chose the wrong button, my friend, unfortunately. But now it's a tie, 1-1. Deception technically multiplying their scoreline by infinity as they put that around on the board.
I was looking at the wrong notes earlier in terms of attack rounds. I don't know why. It's already the end of the day, I guess.
All right, it's 4 a.m.
But no, it's only 2 rounds in though. 1 attack win, 1 defense win. So either way, get that straight there for a minute before I sound completely insane. I say before I sound
too late,
because it's coming. It's coming.
Too late, man.
But either way, good round for Deception is the bottom line.
All right, we'll see how this one pans out as Deception. Again, running that Candela. Of course, the Ying will get played. So, you know, they'll change a winning team, I guess. But there is one thing that they have changed. The IQ is no longer on the team. They're bringing the Twitch.
We'll see if that ends up working for them here. Could be useful for potentially taking out those Evil Eyes even.
Or just getting kills.
Or just getting kills. We'll see. They also have to worry about an Echo now. Because they didn't ban Echo, that means Redeemer could play both Maestro and Echo, and that is something that you do not want to deal with. They did try to ban Echo last map, but unfortunately for them, it does not apply to this map as well. So he is going to do that, change that up, because he decided, you know what, I had to reload last time. I'd rather just not even be shooting. I'd rather have my Yokais.
Yeah, why do it yourself when bots can do it better?
That's right. Well, that's why, of course, then Kevin's bringing Twitch.
They're going to try to move in here to take down utility that is set up. Chala will go in for the bandit battery. Positioning here to trick the wall and just trying to contest the main entryway. Grenade's going to even get thrown in here. Won't really do much Shala just falls back, expecting it to be just standard utility. A second grenade is thrown in as well as the C4 will get lobbed, and it does not connect with anybody. Best Cabernet in the meantime, opening up the main doorway, looking into that armory, and just looks down the lockers to try and hold back any rotations from his opponents.
We'll see. Minute 18 left, plenty of time to try and make this push work, assuming they can make those 2 remaining Candelas count here. The first one comes out, second one going to come out a little bit later. They also have a Claymore they have yet to use on that Ying, and 2 gas canisters to delay this. Unfortunately, that means all of their utility as far as the Candelas is burned, but they are starting to crawl for the small office. Gonna get spotted by Chala.
Oh no, a bit too fast on the trigger there. Shala will ruin the position. Thinking Nade is still here and alive. The gas canister will get thrown in as the Yokai will fall back. Rampy and Thinking Nade with 1, but there you go. The FAMAS of Kevin will make it work. He'll get 1 onto Shuttle, but from the back is Shala and Rampy with 1. Last is spotted as well. Shala hits it with the MP7. Just Chala so consistent here.
Yeah, excellent flank by him. You saw him playing downstairs earlier and then just deciding to take advantage of that to rotate up once his position was given away. As you mentioned, shooting a little bit early in terms of getting his shots not quite on the face he was hoping to. But nonetheless, they're going to go back down to vents again now that they've finally won lockers. It took them 2 tries, which means they could just go right back to vents. I am interested to see where the third bomb site's going to be. I mean, it's very likely to be bathroom because that's just been a very good one. But Customs has also been played quite a bit lately, so entirely possible. If we see that. That, of course, will happen if they win this defensive round. Then we will see their third bomb site next because they will not be able to go back to lockers at that point. We're going to see a 6th pick to Sledge. Interesting choice there because now they're going with the Sledge and the Buck. But they do know what the bomb site's going to be. So they do have a little bit more control over what the strategy will be this time, which is good because we saw their very first attack, they were expecting lockers and did not get it.
Interestingly enough, we won't see bathroom colors just yet.
Hopefully. Well, I mean, I say hopefully, but unfortunately that means, of course, it's a case where Space Station wins this round as well, probably.
Yeah, stop winning, Space Station.
Right? You're being so mean, bullying this other team. We'll see. Some decent scores coming out there. So far, Kevin not the top this time. Give it time, though, right?
Yep.
The rest of his team, I mean, they're doing good support. It's just the case where you're having one strong fragger on the team at each time. In this case, it is not him. It is Best Cabernet instead. We'll see, though. It is only 3 rounds in. Plenty of time for the rest of the team to show up.
All right, Shuttle setting up here for his last camera. He's going to have eyes on the office, and it'll set all the angles correctly. As you see, the entryway into Tellers has been opened up, so very efficient here from Barracuda and the team to just walk on in. They might just be able to rush into the site if nobody from Space Station is looking at them. They even take hold of the rotation hole coming in from the bathroom. Barracuda just walks into the site. See, the diffuser is thrown in on the back wall. Barracuda getting the kill on a Chala as nobody really expecting the fish to bite. Castle Barricade definitely helping out. Shuttle will get 1, but it's the smoke down in the back. The Maestro will try to help things out. As Shuttle is just holding from the top. He'll need some fire down as Barracuda finally finishing off Thinking Nade. To 3v4 as Redeemer will recharge. The C4 will get thrown in just to have info on the diffuser planter, and that will mean the diffuser will not get set. Rampy with a hipfire kill onto the Best Cav and A. Unfortunately, there's no Kavera available on the attack. It's only Hyena alive. And see who laughs last.
Yeah, these guys are going to have to be quick before the Hyena comes. We'll see, though. Rampy going to be trying for it. He's been very, very effective this round so far. Fortunately, he's going to have to fight a much longer range weapon than his own, plus some grenades left here to fire up from that lifeline. But that's going to give away the position. Unfortunately, Rampy landing more than enough shots to finish off Hyena. An easy finish off for them. thanks to some really good fast play by Rampy earlier in the round, turning into a nice clutch there. I got to credit also that C4 play from above where they opened up the floor, killed the diffuser planter, who was definitely trying to stick it, and that was kind of a turning point for Deception. I got to give them some credit, though, for that initial kill at the beginning of the round. Made for a bit of a good start. But now, of course, as I said, we have to see their third bomb site. In this case, it's going to be customs rather than bathroom tellers, as apparently that's more of a French thing. In this case, we'll see.
Unfortunately,
yeah,
for the French, they're called freedom fries. And
yeah.
here we don't have any of them.
Give it time. Freedom spreads.
Yeah, I'm surprised that our intro for the show is not some explosions and just a bald eagle flying out from the Havoc.
Well,
that's something to keep in mind for later. Maybe we can use that at the LAN finals.
Maybe that could just be a new operator.
Eagle Man?
Eagle Man, yeah. We'll see, though, what this round brings. At least in this case, there's not a chance that we're going to go into a 6-0 situation. We have at least 1 point on the board for Deception. They have had some pretty good plays. They have potential here to be able to take at least one more round, if not more, but they are definitely up against a huge, huge mountain of death that is Space Station, who have been playing very well.
The mountain is so high, it has gone above the stratosphere. It's literally Space Station.
Absolutely, and they are definitely playing from there.
Yep. They're going to blast into orbit. We'll see. Well, no, actually, orbit doesn't play anymore, right?
No.
So you see Redeemer opening up there the holes for his teammates. There's no utility that can be lobbed up there except for the C4, so I'm expecting Shuttle to maybe play something sneaky with that.
Ooh, make sure to tweet at Marcio with the hashtag R6USN.
Yeah, just tweet at Marcio, hashtag R6USN.
Yeah, you don't have to say anything else.
Yeah. Just say Polska, and that's all his, or Kibasa. That's more than enough.
Well, some interesting holes. Interesting angles being set up from Thinking Neither. I like the idea, as well as look at the top of that. Usually that's the attackers that would be setting that up, opening that up, looking for angles into detention, trying to take advantage of anyone that might be playing there. So I like the idea that they're trying to play that to their advantage as well, but forced to back out of it. Oh no, never mind. As I say that, Redeemer's going to be playing it, hoping someone wants to poke their little head up. Because of course, if they go to repel, the rope will actually reveal first, giving them a heads up.
Yeah, so now CCTV control is imminent, possibly here. The Dokkaebi will use her calls, so the logic bomb will alert the attackers of any positioning from Space Station. And no, they're just not going to move in.
This is getting a bit slowed down here on this push. Rampy just, wow, an aggressive play here, and he's going to catch one, but not quick enough. I like the idea, but Barracuda wins that big time without taking any damage. Unfortunate.
Great fight here, but Shuttle comes in from the back to save his teammate. Thinking Nade with one more on a Hyena, and it's Shala with another 4v2 as Barracuda will try to swim his way into CCTV. Unfortunately, it's going to be a bit complicated for him to go through that. The Thermite spot in the back, and West will get two. It's now the Maestro looking down in a 2 versus 2. Minute 8 on the clock. West will get one more huge kill here as Chala's the last alive. And you know what? If you want anybody alive on the team for this clutch, it is Chala. And here we go. Barracuda will be downed and outblown to smithereens. Equilibrium in terms of health as West will have to come back in. He's got claymores and not flashbangs, so that won't be a big aid for him as he tries to peek into the site.
At least he does have the diffuser in hand.
And Chala playing from the back of the desk, waiting for information from his teammates. Look at the evil eyes! Literally being fed information here as Chala will move in. He knows where his opponent is. He's getting all the information from his squad mates in the back. He'll try to go in for the peek as West will go for the spray, but Chala will clutch the round, and defenders will take round number 5. Space Stations. Space Station will blast into orbit here with 4 rounds on the board to 1.
Well, definitely looking like a little similar to what we saw last map. Unfortunately, this has just not been a great night for Deception, but nonetheless, this is still a debut for them. They're going to have to take advantage of any that they get to have, and of course they can re-enter if they lose. Now I'm already assuming that they lose, which may not be the case, but even if they do, it's a case where they can come back later stages, so that is good experience going forward for them. So hopefully they can win at least a few more rounds here, maybe bring it back, or even start a comeback towards an overtime, but it is definitely a hard battle. They're at least switching sides though, and that does often switch around what happens. And Rampy sneaking in a blitz there. That should be interesting. No 6 picks coming out from Deception though.
Yeah, I really want to see how the Echo gets played in this one. Because Rampy's blitz, we haven't seen a ton of it, have we?
No, definitely not something I would have expected to see either, but I'm excited to see how it goes, assuming he doesn't just die early. Let's see how it goes. They are going to be starting lockers, of course, which is normally the primary bomb site. They were thrown off a little bit by Space Station starting off on vents instead. In this case, this is going to be a bit more conventional. Now, I imagine Rampy was thinking they would be starting here with that blitz pick. One can hope, but
interesting that Shala brings the Jackal as well.
Yeah. Well, that will make it a little bit easier to deal with anyone that could be downstairs underneath the actual batteries and things like that. So let's say, for example, you go peek in from ventilation, kind of get some idea if anyone's around, try and look for a footprint or two to see if anyone's like a Pulse kind of player. I mean, obviously Pulse is banned, but someone playing like that below. And if you can spot them, you get the footprints, you track them, you're fine. And that gives an opportunity for Shuttle to come in below and shoot out batteries.
I mean, hey, you even have Shala, of course, with the Jackal that has the, you know, the pocket shotty in his.
That's true. Then you could bucket from below as well, essentially. You say bucket as if it's like its own verb. It's like Googling,
yeah,
right?
Of course. I mean, they've added twerking to the dictionary. I think we can add bucking to the dictionary.
You're not supposed to spoil future operators.
There you go.
All right, well, Hyena watching the angle, of course, for that entry we were just talking about, so he's going to be prepared for that, but that's not an uncommon thing to be prepared for. We're going to have Rampy actually doing a bit of clearing of the map here. Looks like they might have already taken CCTV control, which, of course, they were not contesting, which is unfortunate for Deception, because giving that up easily against a team like Space Station, probably not the best idea, but then again, neither is throwing a bunch of dead bodies at it. So we'll see how they go from here. We are seeing that shotgun being used by Jackal.
Yep. It's, of course, the same one that Mira uses. Unfortunately, you know, Mira is not available, so my achy breaky heart will have to deal with that. There's no utility. As you saw the Jackal getting close up to the wall, just to be sure that there's no bed and battery. Or, you know, sometimes you don't have the electricity that actually shows on it on the wall. So there you go. The wall is going to get opened up fairly effectively. Minute 35 on the clock. A ton of time for Space Station to play with.
Yep, they've got all the control, but they are stacked up pretty heavily here. The question, of course, is where's that 5th player that's going to be coming out for that flank? Chala already a bit low on health, but he's getting those smokes out. Can track some footprints. There's the last player there. The IQ playing from below does spot the Yokai. Unfortunately, the flank there coming out on Chala.
Oh, there we go. Hyena not spotted until a bit too late. Thinking Nade to get the kill. Shuttle from below. Thinking Nade sniffing in a bit of that gas. I wonder how our friend the Smoke makes those gas canisters. What he puts in them. We'll get the spot on the Jaeger. Thinking Nade cannot get the kill. There's 53 seconds left on the clock, and I think the push there with the blitz, although it was unsuccessful, it had a few merits to it. And unfortunately, it does not work out this round. It definitely is looking well for Deception. Gas canister will get thrown in as you're looking for the angle down. West will get the headshot. Now it's all up to Thinking Nade on Zofia. He's low on health, and Best Cav and A is coming around from the back. Skirt around the Claymore, and that is the kill. Thinking Nade going down. Deception to put an extra round on the board.
Definitely a good comeback. Definitely some good plays that came into effect as soon as they got into the bomb site and started pushing into lockers. Just some smart, quick plays through the smoke coming out for Deception actually worked out hugely in their favor. They just didn't seem to spot the man running to the half wall there, able to get some good kills from there, and unfortunately take down that blitz shield. The smoke in that case, I feel like actually kind of worked against them despite what they were trying to do with it. So that is, like you said, one more round on the board for Deception. So far, that was the first round for them on defense. Now they're going to go back down, or go down to vents. So we'll see if they can defend that as well as they just did lockers. We're not, we're probably not going to see the shield come out from Rampy this time. They are going to know it's very, very likely to be down events. He's going to 6-pick, but not to blitz this time.
Yeah, he's going to 6-pick away from the Dokkaebi into the IQ. There you go. He'll lock it in.
And here we go to Vince. No 6-picks coming out from Deception. So I guess not appropriately named.
Attackers need to locate.
Nothing out of the ordinary, though, from the attacking side here of Space Station. They have, 2 hard breachers, 2 soft destructors, and the IQ doesn't have grenades anymore, but she can definitely detect any utility that is set up, especially that yokai that Kev is bringing.
Yeah, we'll see if that ends up being a big factor or not. Interesting that Kevin's sticking with the Echo instead of playing Maestro, something he did a lot last map. But in this case, maybe just thinking he's going to get a bit more utility out of the yokai, something we also saw from Redeemer. So it seems like this map in general, just them wanting to play a bit more Echo than Maestro. Makes some sense. Although we have seen some good use of the Evil Eyes. We saw helping out with Chala's clutch earlier. So definitely something that affected. Although you get 2 cameras either way, right? You either get 2 mobile ones from Echo or you get 2 stationary ones with laser beams from Maestro. So
Freaking laser beams attached to their heads.
that's certainly a fun thing to have. They're not the most lethal, but they are quite the deadly little mosquito bite over time, especially if someone has already taken a bit of damage.
We'll see who Deception decide to chew onto early on in the round here. Is coming in directly into the eastern stairs. There's just no time wasted at all by Space Station to come on in, start opening up the floorboards to contest their opponents downstairs. Drone's going to get thrown in here as Rampy will collect data around the tellers, and we'll see. Castle barricades set up, everything pretty standard. The Jaeger, though, sitting pretty on his own in customs. That is someone to be afraid of.
Definitely the case. We'll see if that ends up being a factor here, as they're trying to pressure him and just not landing really any shots.
The shot's getting a bit too close there with the Zofia, though. The workshop will get opened up as Chala will get the kill on the Jaeger. And Thinking Nade with the second on to West. All with the last 3 players alive for Deception. The yokai, though, is force multiplier, so you got to be careful when playing against the Echo. Breaching charges as well on the IQ will open up the castle barrier.
Some other angles being opened on the softballs as well, the ones they didn't reinforce from Thinking Nade. It's going to have that long ACOG angle and a lot of pressure coming out of the actual site now. With 1:15 left to go for the execute here, Barracuda's going to need a really nice flank to slow this down. Could catch Shuttle here in just a moment, but nope, he gets off the drone. But they are going to know he's bucking from above right there. Barracuda, perfect position to start to shift things in the direction of Deception.
The thing is, Space Station are mostly downstairs. Rampy will come onto the site. He's going to scan around and spot the yokai. Does he take it out? No, Redeemer will try to stick the diffuser as the yokai is too busy with Rampy. Just target acquisition, make it be much better than that. Focus on the objective. Chala will get the kill on Barracuda. As you'll see the Echo being picked up here by Hyena. They push right in, and the team kill from Chala taking down Redeemer. It's a 2v2. A possibility for Deception, though. Chala will make it a bit more complicated as Hyena will go down. Kevin all on his own with no yokais, no information, and he'll try to set on the site all the bullets from the Habana hitting the... oh no, is he actually going to stick it? Move in, get the kill, here we go. Thinking Nade gets the final shot onto Kevin, and Space Station Gaming will put themselves on map and match point.
Well, definitely a tough spot for Deception to be, but I think that was a pretty good round for them overall, given that it's a harder bomb site for them, and a situation where they were struggling a bit and gave up the bomb site early, but actually managed to hold on to quite a bit. I mean, obviously that flank upstairs under the buck definitely helped. Definitely some good timing there.
Can we get a nice shot, Chala, in chat? Thank you very much.
Nice shot.
Nice shot. Nice. Quite nice.
Yeah, to the back of Redeemer's head, where well placed. They didn't need him. He was done for the round. I like how he killed his teammate and then killed someone else. They say, I made up for it.
Nah, it's okay.
Interestingly, they're going to try vents again here. Now, of course, they cannot go back to lockers, but the fact that they don't want to try a third bomb site is Definitely going to make it a little more predictable and easy for Space Station to push this yet again. Although in that case, they do need to do a bit better job holding a nice flank watch to make sure they don't get caught off guard again by Barracuda.
Yeah, I'm a bigger fan of sticking to this instead of going to customs because it's been a very complicated site for defenders to really hold on to.
I still think, though, Bathroom has shown a lot of potential, but hey, if you haven't practiced it, you aren't well prepared for it, then obviously in such a high-stakes situation, probably don't want to do it.
Yeah, just go for something. Give yourself as much of an advantage as you can possible.
Credit to West and Barracuda, though, definitely have shown up a bit. 6 and 5 on their side, so good on those guys. I mean, to have 6 and 5 across only 2 round wins is not bad.
Yeah, something.
Not quite Chala's. I want to give Chala an extra one for the team kill.
Yeah, nice shot, Chala.
10. You get 10. Either way. Barracuda going to be barricading quite a bit there with the castle barricades. Pretty typical setup for the normal bathroom hold there on ventilation, so nothing too unusual there. I like the top of the walls there being opened onto the actual ventilation room to be able to huck any C4s or smokes over there. Yep. Although in this case, not sure they're going to be having any C4s based off their operators there. More just the smokes.
Barracuda, more like Barracuda.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. You get one.
Thank you very much. You're a very generous man.
So benevolent. Shuttle, though, questioning whether or not to push this wall right away. We did see, for example, when Deception tried to buck that wall, it got punished very quickly. In this case, he does manage to get away with it, but I'm not sure if they know that there's someone actually in that room. I did see a ping just come out, so they do know he's in there. Drone's doing a good job. Not leading to a kill, so at least staying alive as long as he can, but not quite getting any kills out of it.
Just contesting the fountain and cannot find the angle. Here we go. The thinking nade that will get the kill on the best cav and A. Again, the Jaeger unable to do much against Space Station, and of course, you're dealing with ACOGs. That's not really an easy thing to be playing against, especially with Zofia having such a...
Ooh.
Oh my god, are you kidding me, Rampy? He'll get the kill with the AUG, taking down Barracuda, somebody that has done quite a bit of work for Deception here. So see the Styre moving in the hands of Rampy.
Good use of the breaching charges there, something you don't see a ton, but when you got them, might as well use them, take advantage of that. He is spotting quite a bit of utility there, calling it out. Taking advantage of that, and then of course he gets more breach charges to open that wall. Didn't need a sledge or even grenades to open that up, so I guess that's what happens, right? You lose your grenades, just make sure to bring breaches.
Breaching charges. Breaches.
Breaches.
Now Redeemer will go in, thinking nade with another one onto Hyena, and Chala just finishes it all off in there. GG, well played, and that will be the victory for Space Station Gaming. Deception will go down.
All right, well, a good attempt. Unfortunately, 2 rounds across 2 maps. Not quite as much as we saw from the other teams earlier, but still, a valiant effort against a strong team.
Renaissance had a total of 4 rounds, I believe.
Chala there with 10, and then Rampy and Thinking Nade, though. Poor Redeemer with only 2. He was playing a bit more the anchor and support roles, though, so not as big a surprise that he would be in that situation. But nonetheless, they all did their job as a team and come out ahead.
Yeah, it was a good try, to say the least. Space Station definitely no slouch of a team, and very much did show in the matchup. They were pretty much in control of everything from start to finish on Clubhouse, except for maybe one round where it was pretty tight in 2v2 maybe. But once we headed over the border, outside of the couple rounds, one on attack, one on defense.
Well, they still even won the round they got the team kill on, so.
All right, we'll take a look at the replays to remind you of the great plays that we had at the end of this this map here on Border. And even within the first and second rounds, we've had kills galore. The push in from the back almost worked out here for the attacking side with Hyena and the squad. And the headfire kill from
Rampy. And Chala definitely had some really good rounds, especially the clutch round here from Chala. I mean, most of these highlights are Chala and Rampy. I mean, just fantastic play. Obviously some teamwork involved there with all the pings coming out from Maestro as well, though. But this was a really good round for, especially Hyena as well. good plays. And then the sneaking around that Claymore, that was definitely a tough situation.
See there with Kevin on the floor, but Chala still alive and still the team kill. So nice shot, Chala. I'll still get 1 kill after it, and that'll be up to Thinking Nade to clean it up against the Echo, as there were still a couple seconds there before he could stick it. Thinking Nade contesting at range, hits it. Rampy with a beautiful shot. Oh my god. That's a beautiful kill. Not sure why you had the push from the castle at the end from the workshop, but at that point it was a bit of a desperation play.
Yeah, definitely. Either way, though, a lot of good plays as you saw from there. Maybe a bit more highlights than we had from the first map and a bit more contention. So Border, definitely a better map for Deception, I would say, than Clubhouse. But nonetheless, again, a good effort. We'll see, though. We have plenty more games, plenty more teams to come up in the future here. Make sure to go to the website, of course, here. You see down at the bottom.
Yep.
So you can not only learn about the format, but also sign up for it. Because this is a very unique system that will offer a lot of open brackets as things go on, it means there's further and further chances. As you mentioned earlier, in some ways could get theoretically easier because you have some of these teams that are very strong early on locking up their positions or locking up positions to go to the LAN finals, meaning they are out of the running for the future ones that you don't have to fight them. Of course, any team that loses here can just try again, and then you may have to fight them.
Teams like Rogue, Cloud9, and EG cannot play in this because they have Canadian players. So those are not allowed. They're not American. It's America Light, but it's not America. So you can't put those within the rest of the pool. So because, again, as you mentioned, the format that we have, if you play in Stage 1 and can't qualify to get one of the 2 spots that are available for Stage 1, then you could try in Stage 2, 3, and then the wild card towards the end. So you fail once, keep on trying. So we'll take a look and recap the results of this night. The open circuit with a 2-0 for Mouse Sports against their opponents. That was our first matchup as well against Renaissance, and then Space Station Gaming 2-0ing Deception.
So that means these are your 2 winners here, Mouse and Space Station, that will be going next week head-to-head against Noble and Disrupt. And I think that should be a very, very interesting matchup. I think it's definitely going to be a bit tougher for these teams than we saw before. They're going to have to work a lot harder, but you know, as we heard from Morxus earlier, they didn't want to show too much, but they had to show a bit. And there's a case where they're going to be preparing for each other. It's a best of 3, so they have to be prepared for quite a few different maps in a situation where a lot of that intelligence is going to be factored in for sure.
Yeah, I wonder if it was a similar thing as well for Space Station Gaming, as of course they're preparing for their matchup next Friday against tougher opponents, teams that have a lot of experience, Noble and Disrupt. Of course, Disrupt having picked up the old Bittersweet lineup, as you saw with Remorse and the squad. So, hey, we'll get to see more of them next week. It's good to see some familiar faces.
I guess that's 2 year 1 faces coming back here today with Kevin and or not today, but Remorse as well from the previous week. So it's interesting to see some of the comebacks.
All right, well, we do have an interview lined up, so let's get in and have a quick talk with Chala. Good evening, Chala. How are you?
Good evening, Milos. I'm doing well.
It's always good to see you on here, and we'll get to see you for the first time on the U.S. Nationals desk. After that win, I'd like to ask you a similar thing to what Morxus was highlighting with Mouse Sports in her previous matchup. Were you guys afraid of showing too much in this game? Because you were at the helm and in control, really going through both of these maps on Clubhouse and on Border, because next week you guys get to play against Disrupt.
I mean, yeah, obviously you don't want to use any of your, I don't know, pocket strats or anything, because you don't need them against a team where you outclass at such a level. I mean, you can just run your defaults and it'll work against them. And that's basically what we did. There's nothing special we pulled out, and we were just, we still played it serious, though.
Yeah, there was one specific round, though, on Border where you had the clutch at the end, having to play against the Thermite. Walk me through the comms, because I noticed that there was an evil eye that was set up in the customs. Was that a primary part of the information feed back to you on the Bandit?
Yeah, definitely. That Maestro saw Thermite's every move, obviously. I was also playing off the sound, but it was basically just Redeemer calling off his Maestro, and just the dead teammates kept pinging him his exact location. And then off of that information, I just played my own game against him.
Quick final question here before we finish off the interview. You mentioned Redeemer. When do you bring Redeemer on a Maestro or on an Echo? What's the mindset behind that choice?
If they're using IQ a lot, obviously you can't use Echo very. It's a lot harder to play Echo.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're running a lot of grenades, then you don't really want to play Maestro. So you kind of have to. With the recent IQ nerf, it's sort of IQ isn't just a jack of all trades now. You have to kind of risk taking her or not. And so now there's more playability between Echo and Maestro. And so, yeah, just dependent on what operators the enemy team is running.
All right, fair enough. Well, anything you'd like to say to all the fans that are watching your game and your 2-0 victory?
Nothing much. Just thanks for coming out as always, and hopefully you root us on in the next one.
Yeah, we'll get to see you guys playing in the U.S. Nationals against Disrupt next Friday night, so I'm looking forward to that myself. So thank you very much, Chala, and good night.
Thank you, Milosh.
Always nice to talk to him, man. He's a very, very pleasant interview subject.
Oh, yes. I haven't seen Chala in real life since Six Invitational.
That's why you have to keep a picture of him in your wallet.
Yeah, I do.
Makes it easier. Okay.
I do. You want to see?
I believe it. But anyways, let's take a look at the format again so you guys remember how this is working, what is going to be happening next week, because it's different than what happened this week.
Yeah, so we had week 1 and week 2 with 2 matches, 1 East Coast Conference, 1 West Coast Conference, and we had 4 teams coming out in total, with Noble coming out, and as well as Mouse for East Coast, and for West Coast it's Disrupt and Space Station Gaming. So next week, the conference finals, the final matchup in stage 1 will be Noble versus Mouse, Disrupt versus Space Station, and remind you, every single stage is 3 play days, 3 Fridays in a row, and you have those 3 matches that are, well, in total the 6 matches that are played that'll decide the first 2 teams that qualify through. However, if your team does not qualify from stage 1, you can still roll back in and play through to qualify into stage 2. And then, well, if it doesn't work out for stage 2, then you can do the same for stage 3, and then stage 4, which is the final one. And if you don't make it by then, maybe you can join us for the grand finals at LAN.
Yeah, and so of course, if you are a fan of any of the teams that we're playing today, make sure to watch next week, because the winner of that will, or the 2 winners rather, will be not seen again as part of this until the actual physical LAN finals, which means they will be locked in, as you mentioned earlier, so you will not see them again. Of course, the losers of that could recycle in potentially, but either way, that will be the last of the winners. But of course, make sure to, again, hit us up on Twitter.
Yep.
With the hashtag, you don't have to tag anyone specific, just the hashtag itself. Of course, Marcio likes your tweets directly at him as much as possible. So any comments, even if they're not related to him,
just address them to Marcio.
As long as you use the hashtag, though, that's the important part.
Yeah, hashtag R6USN for US Nationals. Again, I think it's fairly clear on that. We've seen a lot of the interactions. It's been very interesting seeing how players have been replying back to the matches, to the plays from some of the pros that we've seen in here. And I cannot wait for next Friday, because if it's been inciting for you watching so far, then next week will definitely be a real big buzz, to say the least.
Yeah. As is often said, a barn burner.
A barn burner.
In this case, it will be.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, though, for watching. It is week 2 of the U.S. Nationals wrapping up. And we have our 2 winners, Mouse Sports and Space Station Gaming. We'll get to see them next week playing against Noble and Disrupt GG. For myself, from Devin, and everybody here in production for the U.S. Nationals, thank you very much for watching. We love you. Good night.